If I could have done more, and I don't know if it was my fault or yours. So I'm still fighting after the war. My phone in the night could start the war again. Pull the trigger, press send and go. Catch a plane before sunset, kneel down and say come back. Say baby I was wrong, I need you home. But I don't know if I love anymore. I don't know if I loved you before. So I'm still fighting after the war. Well, there should be parties in the street. We had our victory, but loneliness has been waiting for you to leave to ambush me. And I don't know if I can take this on my own. And I don't know if I wanna try to love anymore. But I'll keep fighting. Oh, I'll keep fighting. And I'm still fighting this day.
He knows everything about me. What I love, what I hate, what I dream. Ain't nobody could love me like he would, but he don't love me like that. You see, he's the one I can't get out my head. Every touch, every word that he said, I play it back again. That boy makes me spin, but he don't love me like that. And oh, I get so close to losing control, pouring out my heart and my soul. But I'd rather have him in my life than watch him say goodbye. You're the one that's always got my back. Oh, when I'm running, you are my shadow, and I can't let go. I wish that that was something I could do, but I can't. I love you. When I'm low, you always take me higher. When I'm cold, boy, you are my fire, and you pull me through. I wish that that was something I could do, but I can't. I love you. He's the one who slowly breaks my heart. Every time him and I are apart, I was someone else, not knowing how I felt, but he don't love her like that. Yeah, how I wish I would be swept away, and I would forget all about your face. Ain't nobody could be better than you would, so I wouldn't love them like that. Hey, oh, I get so close to losing control, pouring out my heart and my soul. But I'd rather have him in my life than watch him say goodbye. You're the one that's always got my back. Oh, when I'm running, you are my shadow, and I can't let go. I wish that that was something I could do, but I can't. I love you. When I'm low, you always take me higher. When I'm cold, boy, you are my fire, and you pull me through. I wish that that was something I could do, but I can't. I love you. Oh, Cupid and your stupid bow. Next time, could you shoot us both? Don't know if I can let him go. Oh, no. I get so close to losing control, pouring out my heart and my soul. But I'd rather have him in my life than watch him say goodbye. You're the one that's always got my back. Oh, when I'm running, you are my shadow, and I can't let go.
'cause it kills me to see you smile that way. This is for the best. Let's not turn this into a mess. We've got healing to do. No second guessing. I love you away.
This is my world.
Let's make it count.
I must practice tolerance.
GSL Settlement. Regeneration. Mountain Dew GSL Settlement. Regeneration.
Welcome to the GSL Code S. I'm Artosis, joined today by not tasteless. I'm tastelessless.
You're tastelessless.
Yes.
Yes. No, it's actually really good to be back for my, I think, first GSL of 2019. It's been a while. I was with Tasteless last night when he was diagnosed with a fatal case of being a Protoss player, which normally can reduce your IQ by up to like 200 points, but doctor said he's going to make a full recovery. So happy to be here in the meantime for what actually could be one of the best groups of GSL yet. And I know it's hard after that Scarlet Hero series that I want to watch 200 times in a row, but it still could be just as amazing.
Yeah, when I originally looked at the brackets, this was my favorite group for sure. So I'm very, very excited about today. I think it's going to be out of control, so much fun. These players are, each and every one is really good, and a bunch of them are underrated.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at those players. So am I right or am I right? I mean,
you're
look
so
at this
right,
group.
Artosis.
This group is silly. It's a silly group because these players are too strong. Okay, first off, Impact, always underrated. Everyone who thinks Impact is bad, no, you're bad. You are bad. He's really unbelievably strong, and yes, in control. He uses an aggressive Zerg style. I don't care. He's really a strong player. He has potential in any group to make it out. Of course, Leenock. I was shoving Leenock down everyone's throat last season.
And right you were to do that,
Yeah.
because if he hadn't been critically ill, undergoing surgery, checking himself out of the hospital to play in GSL last season, he absolutely could have lived up to the hype.
Well, we'll see if he can get his revenge against this man that's heading the group up, TY. Always one of the strongest Terrans in the world. I think that for a very long time, you have to have kept him as a top 2 Terran in the world. I think that's still the case. Come at me, Innovation fans. I don't even care. TY's the guy.
Yeah, and you know, we've kind of transcended the era of the 4 horsemen of Terran, and so it's really, you know, kind of a throne that the remaining Terran players have to kind of fight over. And I mean, sure, Maru kind of looks heads and tails above everybody else, but TY just absolutely so brilliant. I think he won his first tournament in StarCraft 2 when he was 8 years old. And I'm just like, I've never been 8 years old. That's too far away for history to have recorded, Artosis. Ever since I turned another year older at my birthday a couple of days ago, I'm now just like so ancient. So watching young players, and actually Fantasy was a relatively young player when he started playing a long time ago. But if your head says any player, your heart has to say Fantasy. One of the sickest players to ever play the game.
Yeah, he hasn't had the greatest results in StarCraft 2 thus far.
Right.
But for those of you who might just be StarCraft 2 fans and not really realize who he is, he was the second greatest Terran player at the peak of Brood War before StarCraft 2 came out, and it went into its decline. Of course, Brood War is back, and it's big again. In fact, it's so big in Korea. This is the only guy that came out of the Army and went to StarCraft 2 as opposed to StarCraft 1. That was already a good StarCraft 1 pro. So Very cool to have him here, and he's in great form right now.
So shocking. This guy's been killing it in online tournaments, but this is the first time that he's qualified for GSL after finishing his military service. So it's so exciting to be able to cast Fantasy's games in the modern era because I just have so much hope here. So let's get into game number 1, between TY and Fantasy.
마운틴듀 GSL 시즌1 리제너레이션 게임이 시작됩니다. 포트 알렉산더 게임 준비 완료.
Get your boats ready.
That's right. I forgot all of my nautical memes that I prepared to watch this guy.
TY
There we go. Play. I was honestly expecting to see some form of cheese because I feel like it's different between StarCraft 1 and 2 when you think you're the better player.
플레이어 1 판타지
Like Fantasy has been for most of his career in StarCraft 1. In StarCraft 1, I feel like a lot of times, if you were the better player, you just played the long game. But in StarCraft 2, I think it's actually, you can control your units so well that a lot of times I just see the double quotes better player go for the aggressive style and force his opponent to make a mistake early on.
It's an interesting way to look at it. We actually had a small conversation, Nick and I, about this recently.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like a lot of the times, if you think you're a lot better in StarCraft 1, at least the Korean scene, they would attack early.
Oh, really?
And try to force their opponents to make those mistakes, and they're multitasking, they're micro and things.
It's just so easy to die in StarCraft
but you're,
1.
You're definitely right, though. Like, the longer the game goes, the more you can kind of get ahead, so that's always been the foreigner mentality. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. But, both these guys were very good StarCraft 1 pro gamers. TY, of course, was known as Baby because he was, like, basically the youngest pro that we ever had in StarCraft 1. But he didn't quite make it by the time StarCraft 2 came out. And as you said, StarCraft 2 is where he really picked up his steam and is absolutely one of the best Terrans in the world. Whereas Fantasy, if StarCraft 1 kept going on, maybe he could have been up there with Flash. We don't know.
100%. I mean, his nickname was the Crown Prince because he was supposed to be the guy who's coming up to be that way.
Yeah, and I guess the reason for a Crown Prince would probably be because he was on SK Telecom. And SKT1, as it's called, that was the Terran team, right? It had Boxer, who then kind of mentored I Love Uv, although he didn't really teach him. I Love Uv.
Well, it's hard to teach somebody that knows everything already.
Yeah, that's another story altogether about how good that guy is. Oh, very nice micro here so far by TY, really deflecting that easily. But yeah, so basically we had Bonjour Boxer, followed by Bonjour I Love Uv. Bonjour, of course, meaning the greatest player of an era.
Yeah, transcendent.
And a true mentor to Fantasy, I Love Uv, helping him with builds and teaching him as he was the coach. This was the Crown Prince. This guy, and he's won Star Leagues and he's been to finals, and he's an absolutely fantastic player.
Yeah.
But StarCraft 1 kind of ended, and he went to StarCraft 2 and then the military, and here he is back in StarCraft 2, ready to make his mark once again.
Yep. At the end of his career in Brood War, he was the only Terran player to have ever had a higher Kespa rank than Flash after his prime. So just an absolutely sick player. Let's actually get into the StarCraft 2 time, even though I could just talk about Fantasy StarCraft 1 for a long time.
Well, there's so much to talk about with these guys. They're such storied pros. But we see right now that Fantasy is really keeping a lot of pressure on. We've been watching these little micro attacks he's had. Of course, TY has defended beautifully. So no real damage done as of yet.
I feel like I watch a lot of very skilled players sort of stress test newer opponents or opponents who are coming back, because there are a lot of ways that you can get those tiny advantages to build up. And so a lot of the ways that you do that is by playing aggressive, but it's actually Fantasy that's been the one putting on all the pressure. But TY, of course, has expertly, deftly kind of just batted everything away every single time. So really, no huge advantage has kind of cropped up just yet. And we have both players on 2 bases, and aside from this push right now, this is kind of the first thing that should start to be a little bit scary here.
Well, with that siege tank, definitely. Ooh, drops it into siege range. A terrible mistake.
Ooh, and away we go.
Wow, that TY siege tank just ruined Fantasy's push so hard. To lose your first tank when you're doing a 2-base aggressive build is not good news to say the least, especially when TY already has his third command center up.
There's that Simpsons gif of the grandfather walking in the door, hanging up his hat, picking up his hat, and walking right back out the door. That's what that push did. You come in, and then you leave. So he's like the worst grasshopper. He comes, but he doesn't eat. He just leaves immediately.
Yeah, okay.
There's my Bug's Life metaphor for the day.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware that was Bug's Life.
Yeah, they come, they eat, they leave.
I know the Simpsons, though.
Oh, okay. I got you there.
All right.
I have memes for all ages, Artosis.
Yeah. What about that meme with the guy who has his girlfriend and then, like, there's the other girl he's looking at?
That's actually an image macro. It's the more easily accessible but less ambitious form of expression. So I'll come up with one of those
I was
later
going to say that the girlfriend was doing damage with that and the other girl was losing her tank and going home.
Whoa, he's going to get pushed
Wow.
back again.
Yeah.
Is there anything TY can't do?
The disable into the killing with the cyclone.
It's like if
Beautifully
one
done.
wasn't good enough, he's got to get you with the and one. Ugh.
Oh, well, a second factory coming up for TY right now. He is going to be going into mech-based play, but doing a small push at the moment, moving out. Fantasy has just, all of his aggression has fell on deaf ears at this point.
Yeah.
He's getting his third command center, sure, but nothing has truly gone right for him.
I feel like TY was kind of given the answers to this test before he started taking it. He just knows exactly how to defend everything perfectly. But, you know, Fantasy has had a couple of missteps dropping that tank at the same time. So let's see what the next step is. Third base already up, kind of coming down for TY. And Fantasy, I guess he's got the command center built inside his base, but he hasn't floated it out yet.
Yeah, it's turning into an orbital in just a second here. He's finishing it up. But yeah, it's going to be Bio against Mech, and the fact that TY has his third command center finished by the time that the thirds get started from Fantasy, and the fact that Fantasy hasn't done any damage yet, Stim is not even halfway done. This is very, very, very TY favored at the moment.
For sure. He's got more of everything in every way. More resources coming in, workers, army, map position. I think also when you talk about like tech, the tech is the huge spike, of course, once 1-1 and Stim are done. It's just, it's so crazy. So I really hope that Fantasy holds on here, because we could actually just see him straight up die to the first push. Although I'm glad that TY is kind of exercising some restraint here.
He's being careful. He's just kind of like pressuring, moving out, and then moving back. And I mean, I always think that this is a very, very good way to play. Get your macro actually rolling. He's probably not exactly sure when Stim finishes, but that's when you really do have to be careful here as well as the mech player.
For sure. I mean, siege tanks are great, but like Stim Marines can kill just about everything. So let's see what the next move is going to be. There's obviously mech upgrades just now started, and I don't know. What do you think about this? I don't get a chance to often see kind of the contrasting styles like this, mech versus bio, at least not on the modern day map. So what is your thought on these paths our players have set themselves on?
Well, you know, I think that you can obviously play either style. Fantasy, in my opinion, will be not going mech really at all. If he goes mech, it would probably be like against Zerg or Protoss more than Terran. I think that the medevacs really suit his style as a player. And, you know, that was always my guess. We've tasked our translator Brian on figuring out why Fantasy chose StarCraft 2 over Brood War. Because as far as I know, no one in the foreign scene knows, at least. But his style is one of harassment for the most part. It always was back in Brood War. He's very good at multitasking and pulling attention around and punishing you for it. So I forget what your question is.
Well, that's because it's such a good one.
That's my real answer. Is I actually forget what you asked, but I'm glad that I kind of filled in what Fantasy style is.
What I do is I just sow seeds of questions in Artosis' head and just let him keep talking until one of them gets answered.
Yeah.
And then I just pick back up again, and there we go. But I think ultimately my question was about kind of contrasting styles here. I'm not super familiar with Fantasy's, you know, kind of double quote style since he's come back, because obviously there have been a lot of changes within StarCraft 2 even since he's returned. Another disable there on the Raven, and once again, TY just waxing off anything that Fantasy tries to accomplish and pushing in here with an attack that could just roll him over.
It looks like a smashing attack, that's for sure. The siege tanks run away and do get a siege up on the high ground. In the meantime, Fantasy with a counter drop. You can't really underestimate this. Goes after those siege tanks. I think that's a pretty smart move, or else he'll get cleaned up too easily.
Yeah, and Fantasy has held off TY's push in the natural. They're both going to lose their naturals, but I think Fantasy or TY is doing a little bit more damage.
Yeah, I feel like TY is in a better spot from this, but it's a good idea from Fantasy to try to get some counter damage done.
Yeah.
Now, he's going to go after these armories, but 1-1 did end up finishing.
Yeah.
So, sure, you delayed 2-2, but since it just started, it's not as powerful as this move could be otherwise.
And because there's air superiority for TY, I don't think there's a world in which Fantasy gets out of here.
No.
Yeah, he's going to lose everything. So a perfect timing there for TY to pull back. He did damage. Sure, he took a little bit of damage, but he's going to right the ship and survive, having taken much less 50 supply up.
Yeah, definitely looking very good for TY with the higher worker count, the higher army size, but a lot of siege tanks for Fantasy lived, and that's really important here. If he can get them into a strong position, that's hard to break.
As long as he doesn't drop it back within range of other siege tank fire again here. But look at TY, he's trying to break it. He's doing a little bit of a bulldog of his own, trying to drop on top of the siege tanks and push them back. And so he secures his third base, and he has 3 bases up and running after devastating Fantasy's natural expansion. So Fantasy's still reeling a little bit, even though he's trying to get out there on the map and make something happen.
Yeah, look at this. TY just with so much power, dropping a few Hellbats on top of those siege tanks. Was this a little bit of an overextension, though? We see that bio on the side cleaning up some tanks. It looks like he does end up winning this battle. If Fantasy just had a little bit more there, though, he might have been able to break through.
Well, I tell you, one of the things that Terran drops can do is get you back in the game, but when TY has such air superiority, the medevacs never wind up escaping the fight. So it's not like there's this consistent, army of medevacs that survives, because they all die to these, 9 Vikings in the air? It's something crazy like that.
Yeah, yeah, you're quite right. And the thing is, if the mech player lives too long, you generally can't stay on bio forever. And one of the good switches you can do is into a Sky Terran composition to kind of deal with that. We don't see that from Fantasy. It seems like he is more prescribed to the siege tank bio, which actually works well as well, because it's hard to attack into siege tanks, and then you have your bio for additional mobility. So that's the type of style that he's using right here. Now, it's not really paying off yet. He's not been able to do very much damage at all to TY aside from the 1 counter drop, and he's taken a lot himself this game.
For sure. But the one takeaway for me is that Fantasy is being super proactive. All that harassment early on, trying to run little groups of bio in here and there. Now, granted, it didn't work, but he's getting out there, and TY is just so godlike that he has been able to really defend it every turn. So what is Fantasy's plan right here? He's got a group of bio in the middle of the map, so I don't know if he wants to go for a counter or try to wrap around for a flank, and it looks like he's going for a counter, but man, that's a very well-defended base.
Yeah, there's not any real opportunity for him to do damage here, and he's lost a lot of SCVs during this. There's been some good Liberator harassment. It's just a matter of time before Fantasy has to GG, but y'all may have heard of this thing called Fantasy GG time.
Oh, tell me no more, but yeah, Fantasy GG is where you stay in the game right before you lose your last building.
Yeah.
Then you type out. It's not bad mannered. The idea is that Fantasy explained in an interview is that if you always stay in the game as long as possible, then if in that one game you have a hidden base, your opponent won't think that you do and will underestimate you there. But this is a little bit of an earlier exit as TY takes game number 1.
That's actually kind of a fair statement. Don't leave games too early for reasons like that.
I mean, you got to trust the pro player judgment. When they know they're done, it's like time to go.
Well, someone who's won championships like him and really truly is one of the greatest of all time, yeah, if he says something, you can write that down in your notebook.
For sure. And even though we talk about Fantasy as being a player who's, achieved a lot in the previous version of StarCraft and maybe isn't quite up to the level of the tip-top players nowadays, he's still absolutely one of the best players in the world. He qualified to GSL as one of the 32 best players in South Korea, and that really puts you on a very high pedestal.
Oh yeah, he's in good shape right now. He's been doing very well in a lot of the online cups. He's been crushing really strong opponents in things like Arena Leagues, WSG quals. He's been playing everything, right?
Yeah.
I haven't really gotten to see very much of his play yet, and it didn't look bad there. It's just that TY is probably the best TVT player in the world. Someone's like, hey, what about Maru? Okay, Maru should have lost Game 7 to TY in that GSL Finals, and we all know that. So
Maru did lose Game 7 to TY in the WESG that TY won, which was his first tournament after 11 years of playing. So, yeah, very iconic victory there. Let's get into game number 2 and see if Fantasy can turn it around.
마운틴 듀 GSL 시즌 1 리제너레이션 게임이 시작됩니다.
Oh,
Great.
Artosis.
게임
Indeed.
준비 완료.
Oh, Artosis indeed. So, double proxy barracks Reaper seems to be what TY is going to be going for here.
Yeah, and I kind of expected this at some point, kind of like I started out saying in the last game. I want to see TY really put the pressure on. Fantasy actually played a very aggressive kind of style, consistently harassing early, but TY just wasn't having any of it and totally repelled it.
Yeah, you know, I think that, again, that is how Fantasy really always played. He was very harassment-based, and I think that might be part of the reason why he chose StarCraft 2 anyways, because Terran in StarCraft 2 is more harassment-based than Terran in StarCraft 1.
Oh, yeah.
Terran in StarCraft 1 is very mechanical race, and that's not actually what he excels at, even though he's one of the best of all time. It's a very weird thing. His style was just so different from everyone else's in StarCraft 1. But yeah, I feel like it fits well into this. But again, TY is just like the ultimate Terran versus Terran player, in my opinion.
I mean, he's the ultimate just about everything. It's hard to imagine a world in which Fantasy is ready for this one. I don't think he has any idea just yet. I mean, as soon as he gets across the map and scouts, that's when you know it's coming. But I think it'll just be too late there.
Well, he's making a Reaper. If the Reaper leaves the base of Fantasy and he starts an add-on, that is getting pretty close to the point of no return. TY actually kind of invented the two barracks proxy Reaper strategy, which is to make 2 Reapers right off the bat. Let's see if he starts a second.
One of the reasons
he does.
Okay, yeah.
That's important.
Yeah. One of the reasons he had to invent that style is because Beyond kept wrecking him with Proxy Reaper over and over and over again. So he got pretty good at that. But here we go. Fantasy is going to see that the jig, as they say, is up. It's time to do or die. Can you hold on against critical mass of Reapers in your base? They're already going to start to lose SCVs.
Okay, so here comes the other Reaper. We'll see how he does his grenades. He's got to kind of wait for the other Reaper as well. Obviously, he does not want this bunker to finish. That would make it very tough. That's a safe place to heal up and everything. Okay, the third Reaper coming in now, trying to push everything back.
He didn't start rebuilding the bunker. There we go. Get it started up.
Okay, so it does take a while for a bunker to finish. Oh my gosh.
I think he's going to get it up.
It's such a nice place to run back to, because a lot of times what you do is force the Reapers down, and then they can't see the high ground, so the jump up is where you get a lot of damage. Here they can go in there and repair at any time.
Yeah, extra range from the bunker and just
You see that proxy Stargate? I love this as a counter to this. This is actually another thing that TY started doing a lot against these double barracks proxies, is you go for a Liberator, because they have nothing at home to stop it.
Oh yeah. And as soon as they can't mine anymore, you've just really kind of flipped the table. So, and Fantasy is actually doing a remarkably good job, like not just totally rolling over at home. He's getting up the Hellions that he needs to be able to kind of contain the Reapers once they get out of that bunker. I just really want to see what the reaction is here. He's getting a tech lab on that proxy.
Yeah. Well, I think because he stopped microing it, at this point there's a critical mass for Fantasy where you can't harass much anymore.
Okay.
Like you can do a little bit. He's trying to get that add-on, but you just need like a tank or a Cyclone or something here to deal with the bunker. You can't attack the bunker with Hellions.
Yeah, no way you can do that. He's going to lose the add-on there, so that's going to make the factory a little bit less desirable. Only Hellions.
He already queued up his Cyclone. He was actually supply blocked, but he had it queued,
okay,
so
that's what it was.
It's actually fine. He'll end up killing this this bunker over time. There'll be a funny little micro thing that occurs, though. What we should see from TY is having only 3 Reapers in the bunker, and then he can like repair, and if it targets that, he can load it in. I feel like that will do a good job against a Cyclone.
Oh, is he going to scout this for the barracks? How is TY so good? Oh, he's going to get out of the bunker, try to get a little bit of extra damage done. He's zoning mines. They're so sexy. He's going to scout the proxy Banshee. He's going to see even the cloaks on the way. And I agree with what you were saying earlier, Artosis. I feel like a Liberator just would have been the best way to go, because this is taking so long to hit as a counter.
Yeah, like I quite like the Liberator as the counter, because you just sieged up over the command center, and they don't really have much to hit it. Now, yeah, if he, like, for instance, loses that right before Cloak finishes, obviously Banshees with the Cloak can kill a hell of a lot of SCVs.
Oh my god, no. Oh!
That is a heartbreaker.
Denied is right.
Oh, man.
I feel like Fantasy is just so close to kind of having a lot of the answers he needs to take wins here. But, I mean, that only gets you so far, right?
Yeah.
It only counts, as they say, in horseshoes, Artosis.
Horseshoes and hand grenades, as they say.
Well, it depends on your hand grenade, right? I mean, what if it's like...
If it's close, then it works.
What if it's like my baby's first hand grenade, you know? That's not going to do that much, Artosis.
What?
You got to start them young, man. I don't know. What if it's like a dud, right? You throw it close, but it doesn't go off.
Dude, have you ever actually held a hand grenade?
I have held a hand grenade.
They are so heavy.
They are both heavy and terrifying, even if they're inert.
Yeah. It would hurt to get hit by one of those no matter what.
Right, especially if it actually just hits you. Then
yeah.
it actually counts if you get pretty close with it. But anyway, the end result of all of this is that Fantasy has come so close and yet so far. And even though he's finally busted out across the map, I mean, TY has just really had a masterclass, both putting on the pressure and defending whenever Fantasy comes calling.
Now, those two Cyclones are going to make the Banshee having a very hard time. All right, use that scan. I think that was just for a lock-on to try to get the Banshee, but can't quite do it there.
Okay, he doesn't have Cloak to break the lock-on, so he just has to run away.
Yeah.
And now it's actually comical because it's going to be TY's Banshee that deals critical damage on the other side.
You are quite right about that. If Banshee gets over there right now, this is the situation where Fantasy has to get damage done. Oh, no.
Oh,
and he just finished a Sea Chank, so there's like nothing coming that can stop this.
I wish you guys could be in the studio and see Fantasy's face right now. If you're here in person, you get that bonus zone because it is a look of a little bit of frustration there.
Ooh, he lost that Banshee with one hit left on the Cyclone as well. Everything just not quite working.
He's chasing it down. Is he going to get it? Yes. All right. A moral victory, but another defeat in the end. TY 2-0 over Fantasy.
He smashed there. I do not feel like Fantasy played poorly. I don't think he's nervous. I think he's playing some good StarCraft, but TY is a god of TBT. And that was obviously a hard one there for Fantasy, but
I mean,
I'm excited to see his other matches.
There's this trend of videos on YouTube called Smash or Pass there, and TY definitely chose the Smash option. Nothing Fantasy ever did really worked out. TY just such a god. And I think the story I really want to tell here is the generational gap. TY grew up watching Fantasy, and now he's taking him out 2-0. We're going to take a quick break, come back with Impact versus Leenock.
됐습니다. 아, 자고 있었는데 갑자기. 달라요.
마운틴듀 GSL 시즌 1 리제너레이션.
Welcome back. We just saw TY kind of smash Fantasy. TY's TVT is pretty damn good. He just looked completely solid and killer the entire time. So good job on him. Up next, Impact versus Leenock. I think these guys are both vastly underrated. I've been very vocal about that for Leenock for the past couple seasons because that's when he became really good again, and for Impact for a very long time.
I feel like this matchup is specifically set up so that Artosis can somehow predict both players to win.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there is a lot of hype behind them, and I feel like you've always been kind of a champion of players that never really get their just amount of appreciation for how badass they are.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody knows that you're like a sick Leenock fanboy, but the truth is that Impact is just so talented. He's killing it in online cups, Alimo Leagues, Ballistics Brawls. I mean, this guy is just so strong, but you don't get to see a lot of it if you don't watch a lot of online tournaments.
That's right. I mean, there's actually a documentary out that you can watch that has Impact in it as a StarCraft 1 budding pro gamer. It's the same one that is focused mostly on Jaedong.
Oh, okay.
So if anyone saw that documentary and like didn't realize because it was like about them as Brood War players and Impact never made it big, that's actually Impact in there. Go watch it again. It's actually a fantastic documentary, one of the best made. But anyways, I mean, Impact is really good. Leenock, of course. This guy, 19 seasons of GSL. Him and Maru are at 19, Gumio's at 20. How funny is that? But yeah, so I believe there's been 30 seasons of actual GSL.
Yes.
Like the actual GSL tournament. This is the 30th, I believe. Because we've been throwing around all sorts of numbers because we don't actually know. And then obviously we've had a ton of things like super tournaments and various
GSL
other
the world, another
all sorts of GSL branded stuff. But for the actual main GSL event, this is number 30, and to have been in 19 is pretty damn sick.
Oh, it's insane. Leenock is one of the oldest players. He's one of the oldest players still playing StarCraft, but he's also a very young player as well. Let's get into game number 1, Impact versus Leenock.
마운틴듀 GSL 시즌 1 리제너레이션. 게임이 시작됩니다. 사이버 포레스트. 게임 준비 완료. 임팩트.
I'm not used to having other people introduce the players for me.
Leenock.
Get used to it.
I was
You're
gonna
in
say,
the big
it
time
happens
now.
all the time. I know. I finally graduated.
Yeah.
I just turned 18 a couple of days ago. I'm finally out here in Korea casting my very first tournament of my life.
That's right.
It's a brave new world.
So, you mentioned how Leenock's been playing a long time. To
Yeah.
put that into perspective,
Okay.
he and Maru are two players that both played in the very first season.
Wow.
And they are still here. Gumiho was in season 2. MC was in season 1, and he came back, right? So that's another person. I love these like facts, right? We're in such a beautiful time within StarCraft 1 and 2, because we finally hit this thing where the players that are like kind of very old have played for a long time, not necessarily old in age, but old in career, long in the tooth, as they say. These players can come back, they can compete for a very long time as long as they're motivated to. We never had that before. In the Kespa ages and stuff, we had players that tried to come after the military and play again, and it never worked even one time. But here we are. Everyone does it.
I'm going to go back and find every forum account of people who are talking about how you have to quit pro gaming when you're like 21 because you're too old after that point. I'm just like, excuse me? Like across like so many different esports, there's just so many players that are like very experienced and can leverage that over just insane mechanical skill. Not that these guys don't have both of those.
Yeah.
Actually, probably these guys have
Well.
been playing StarCraft longer than most people watching this have actually been alive. So, you know, they've just got quite a few things going for them.
I mean, look at Nada hitting ASL and doing so well. That guy that's a second generation pro gamer right there. About pretty crazy stuff.
He might be the first human to have a child who becomes better than he is.
Huh.
I'm sure there's going to be stats coming out after that.
For
once
like
we get
pros, right?
Yeah,
That's what you're talking about? Because I mean, everyone's better than their parents that's a pro.
Well, right. I mean, your parent would have had to be also pretty good. You know, there's that joke about having to beat a girl's father in StarCraft before you're allowed to marry her out here. I'm just like...
I'm trying to think, actually, who amongst people that were good at games and stuff, who has the oldest kid? I think it's actually Nada.
Probably. Let's see.
Nada and Artosis tied.
I was going to say the only other player I can think of that also played with Gumiho in Season 1 would be Artosis.
Yeah.
But
That's true.
we'll have to
I'm
take
still
different
here
paths.
too. But
That's right.
It's in a different.
You've also made it to the GSL round of 32, but you've been in GSL more seasons than Leenock has.
I make it to every finals.
Remarkable consistency.
I know, right?
It's okay because just like Sue, you come in second in the finals too.
So, we have a Spire from Leenock, whereas it is Roach Tech, it looks like here, for Impact. Now, Impact going to get the scout off, see, in fact, that it is a Spire. And this is, like, I feel like this favors Leenock, in my opinion, because you're actually on 2 base. I think that what can be even, okay, it's actually going to be a Nidus, which I was going to get into that in a second, but he threw it down so quickly, I can't quite do it. But anyways, I think that if you go 3 base Roach, you're pretty even with the mutas, and then it comes down to playing. I think if you're going the 2 base Roach, it's like speed and +1. As long as the Spire player isn't playing too greedy, I think you actually are ahead in that situation. Now, the Nidus has changed quite a bit. We're going to see how that impacts this.
The comical thing to me is that sometimes, right, you'll have the player that's going mutas, and sometimes mutas just deal comically little damage. So you have these roaches come over, and roaches are pretty bulky, and the mutas are just like, they're sitting there, they're hitting it, and the roaches just kill everything too quickly. So, I mean, that is always something that could happen. The mutas are just now on the way. 11 roaches in production as well as this Nidus finishes up.
Yeah, not even close to killing it.
Oh yeah, no, that extra
Not
armor
even
and
close.
transfuse is like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Now, to be fair, if he gets all that energy off of the queens, that's already almost enough because the mutas then can actually kill them. And he killed some queens, he got most of the transfusion energy off. You see all these drones come through for spores because he realizes, uh-oh, the mutas can actually fight now.
Yeah, and the queens can hang on for a little bit, but like you said, they don't have that transfuse energy. So while the roaches push through, it's going to be spores and spines and things in the air and ground all fighting each other, but I think just barely Leenock might lose too much. I mean, ultimately, the roaches are going to die if they can't run back and escape. But look at how many drones are going down. Not that many, actually.
Well, he needs some actual ground units to fight the spores, because as the spores just walk up and burrow, they will wreck the Mutalisk. I love that he actually made all these spores. This was a brilliant move here from Impact.
Uh-oh, well, he does need to burrow that spore
Did he just
eventually.
attack his own spore?
I think he did accidentally misclick there, but
yeah.
So
that's a mistake. He's going to kill the spore.
yeah, it'd be so funny if that actually winds up coming back and hurting him.
Yeah.
But look at how many spores Impact is actually building here. He is really prepared super well for basically every eventuality.
This is a great move. The spores are actually what saved him, because at first I was looking at the Lings and then causing all the transfusions. I'm like, oh, that's quite brilliant by Leenock. But now that we have mass spore here,
that's it.
Yeah.
GG. Wow.
That was actually great. I have to readjust my thinking upon two-base Roach against Muta now.
Yeah, you know, I mean, that's a situation that you go into and you don't have a lot of time to sort of feel out, am I going to win this? How do I take this? What do I do? You just got to go, because it is so focused. And wow, that was just exactly what he needed. Those spores coming through and finishing, even with that little misclick, exactly what he needed to take that out. Yeah, the Mutas just couldn't stand up to it.
Yeah. Cool game, though. I feel like I definitely learned something. Like, I knew theoretically that you could bring drones through and make stuff if you want, but I like that. Like, it's basically, he had just enough roaches to stay alive just long enough that he could walk all the spores up the ramp and basically burrow them for free and win this game.
Wow. Well, you know, you talked about how Impact plays this very aggressive style. I think he's really playing to his strengths here against a player like Leenock, who has so much experience, but maybe you got to take that away from him by playing this kind of new crazy aggressiveness. So let's see if Leenock can come back in game number 2 on year 0.
GSL 시즌1 리제너레이션 게임이 시작됩니다. 이어 제로 게임 준비 완료. 임팩트.
It is casting hard mode to not have the player names on our overlay to start things off.
Leenock.
It's a surprise.
It is. Actually, I truly wish that all casters would have the opportunity to not have nameplates on for a broadcast and then find out at the end of the game which team or which player was which.
Well, that is No Regrets Anonymous tournament. Have you casted one of those?
I think I did do one of those tournaments with him a while back. It's actually such a sick idea because it forces you to really look beyond your expectations and actually at the hard, cold, like what is really happening and why, and to learn about the player through what they do, not through what they have done.
Yeah, totally. I support such initiatives. But you can't have that be all the time.
That's true.
It's not fun just watching nobody play versus nobody all the time.
I mean, these players, and even especially like Fantasy and TY, just have some of the sickest storylines, and you know, beyond the game, if I can use that cliche, there is such an amazing story behind every one of these players. I mean, StarCraft 1 and 2 have just both been around for so long. That these are dynasty players, right? They've just always been there.
Yeah, it's very cool like that. And by the way, they have actually the same glasses on. We'll show that later. But
I would never have noticed that if you hadn't mentioned that.
They both have Patience's glasses on. So, looks like speed coming up here from Leenock, but not from Impact. Is he gonna? Oh wait, no, he has it. Never mind. That's the only way. This is so funny because I'm looking at the main screen, and there is a light right in front of the of the production tab of only one player.
I see it.
So this actually happens to me sometimes now.
Well, I mean, it's either that or look at this screen made for ants over here. So I'm getting really good at either squinting or my long distance vision.
And of course, by ants, made by ants, he means it's you know, they can lift like really heavy things. This is a very heavy monitor.
Oh, that's right. It's capable of being lifted by a few ants.
Yeah.
I was never good enough at math to calculate the number of ants it would take, but I'm sure that they can handle that.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of ants in this world. It wouldn't be a problem. So Bailey Nest here on both sides.
Ooh, look at that. The 2 versus 2 Zergling micro, and in the end it's Leenock that comes out on top, so getting down third hatcheries on both sides. It's just remarkably mirrored up until this point, Artosis.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same stuff we're watching here. Let's look at these link counts. So we have 8 versus 2 being created right now. See if Impact makes a bit more.
Yeah, Leenock did a huge drone swell there for a second. I say huge. He built like 4 more drones, so.
Which would account for those extra lanes.
Okay, well, what do you know?
Yeah.
We're really solving all of life's questions here.
Both of them have kept their overlords far enough out that we don't see Queens out in the middle of the map. Saw Impact turn around against Leenox for a moment there. Like that, he tries to hide it in there. Here come a couple of random Banes.
He's got the bodyguard zergling there just to kind of ward away the anything that tries to blow up those banelings at a time. Where are the banelings for Leenock? I mean, I guess there's one of them. Does he only have the one?
Yeah, I think the other died on its way over.
Ah.
I don't think this is really going to do anything. Year 0 is kind of a long map.
Kind of deceptively so. It reminds me if you took a map like Ulrina and just stretched it.
Okay. Yeah, I see it and turn it on the
flipped
side
it over
too,
and
yeah.
and manipulated it so it's actually nothing like
Make
that.
it a
but
different
like,
tile
yes,
set.
Yes, that's my
add
point,
aim on,
Artosis. There you go.
Take away the little tiny bridge.
Basically the best analogy. You can just accept that already.
Yeah, no, it was very good. I'm cleaning it up for you a little bit by adding like 12 things that will make it a little bit like Arena.
Okay.
They're
sick.
both 2-player maps, so you definitely nailed that part.
Fantastic save there, Artosis.
No
you really
problem.
came to my rescue there.
I do my best.
I let down my long hair out of my tower, and you just climbed right up and saved me.
Rapidunzel.
That was the original name of the nursery rhyme, but we had to change it for when I entered the witness protection program. The caster protection program to protect me from all the Reddit
we have a
comments.
job for you commentating StarCraft in Korea. You're like, what is that? Korea?
All I know how to do is grow my hair really long. I'm really not qualified for this.
Ooh, Impact actually running
So
by
hey, yeah,
right
that's
now.
a lot of Zerglings, Artosis.
Let's make a couple Banes over there as well. We have a Spire actually going up on both sides. A little bit later for Leenock.
Whoa!
Decent connection.
Yeah, I mean, not in time to save the queen there. Those are the worst Secret Service Banelings I've ever seen. They get there and blow up. I'm like, well, isn't that like the job of... Anyway, the idea is that it was a nice little bit of damage, but it's not like we've seen either player deal like these big swinging blows like we had last game, Mutas versus Roaches or something.
Both players right now making just non-stop Zerglings. Leenock is going to have his +1 melee pretty soon here. 4th base being taken by Impact. If Leenock stays aggressive with the Lings, I feel like he should be able to knock that out. But the Spire is now finished for Impact, and when you have your Spire finished first, that's definitely useful. Ooh, he actually goes Carapace. I love it. I love it.
That's actually...
Oh my god.
Sickest connection. He's going to get it again!
Oh my god.
No way!
What?
All right, well, I mean, that's one way to turn things around. Also, why is that Queen way out there? Cool. So, wow, all of a sudden, Impact both has the Muta advantage, will always have the Muta advantage because of Carapace, and has a ton of Lings on the ground.
Yeah, the Carapace is so interesting because we don't see Muta versus Muta too much in StarCraft 2, and
yeah.
Impact actually got to scout the Spire because he got those Lings in the main base. I don't believe Leenock knows, and yeah, in fact, he's getting plus attack, and so basically Mutas have 3 glaives, so Carapace is amazing.
Yes.
Whereas attack is good if your opponent isn't also going Mutas. Not that attack is bad in that situation, but it only adds attack to the first blade.
The first blade, and then Carapace applies to all 3. So
yeah, because they all are trying to do damage to you. So okay, see, he cancels it, and because he saw the Mutas, and he goes Carapace, but it's a lot later. So advantage Impact at the moment with the 4th base already up and the right upgrade coming from Mutas.
damn, I mean, Leenock has had a long time coming. We mentioned earlier, but maybe people are just now joining. Leenock was sick in the hospital when he was having such an amazing season last season. If he hadn't been there, he kind of got robbed by having to like just go through so much struggles to get back here. Like this is his chance. And
this group is so outstanding, though.
It is.
And you know, just I think I've always been of the opinion that overall, except when you count Serral, I like aggressive ZVZ players rather than macro.
Okay.
And that's saying a lot coming from Artosis, like the guy who only likes macro for the most part.
Right.
But I think in ZVZ, aggression in general is just really, really good. StarCraft 1, StarCraft 2, doesn't matter. Whoever's being aggressive is the team I'm on for who's winning. And I feel like if you look at the group, Leenock has to be Impact to get out of it. So it's kind of tough.
Yeah, immediately you can see Leenock turning around, knowing that, of course, attack versus Carapace is just not going to work out. A couple of sneaky Corruptors in here, but I still think this Carapace upgrade is just going to be so gigantic for Impact.
You're certainly right. It is gigantic, but don't forget Corruptors start with a couple Carapace themselves.
That's true.
Right, so that's why he's kind of adding those in. They do beat Mutas in fights for the gas cost. So...
Well, tell me more, Artosis. I'm waiting.
Well, that's a lot of Mutas is the problem.
GG.
There's a lot more Mutas than Corruptors there.
2-0 over Leenock?
Yeah, it's a good result, obviously. Leenock is not bad at ZVZ, but Impact playing a great series there.
Wow.
But here's the thing. For my vision of how this group can possibly go, this makes me scared for Leenock even getting out of this round, because while I feel like he can definitely take out everybody, I feel like TY is going to kill Impact.
Oh, of course.
So if that's your final boss and he just 2-0'd you, that's hard.
When TY wins, we're going to promote him like directly to the round 4. Like that's how hard.
There's no world in which TY doesn't make the round of 8 of a GSL.
Oh, it's crazy. And actually, you know, he's had some remarkable like highs and lows. Actually being eliminated, I think, one time in the round of 32, maybe a couple of years ago. And I'm just like, well, that's very surprising. So I don't know what to expect from the end of our group, but I think you can maybe have as a certainty, okay, so TY probably going to get out there. Fantasy probably an underdog for this group, and then Leenock and Impact kind of battling for that second spot, maybe.
Well, I'm excited to see how Fantasy plays against Leenock, what type
TVZ?
of style he uses. Yeah, that could be a very interesting match. Based on how Leenock looked last season, I would favor him against almost everybody in the world in that matchup.
Okay.
Because he actually, like, even had the sickest series against Maro basically from the whole GSL that season, aside from TY.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking at this next match that we have, the TY Impact one. I hope that Impact can do something here, but his ZVT, in my opinion, is his weakest matchup as well.
Okay.
Because I think aggression in that matchup doesn't work as well as in the other two.
Oh, no, you're totally right. Another sort of random pitfall is that one of TY's only weaknesses, kind of his Achilles heel for a while, is that he doesn't always scout a lot. So if you can pull the wool over his eyes, maybe there's a chance. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back with our next game.
죽겠다 또 어김없이 너의 흔적이 나만 날 괴롭힌다 죽겠다 남대하듯이 돌아섰는데 왜 나는 괴로울까 초견할 줄 알아서 헤어짐에 대해 근데 널 닮았을 건 하나 버린다는 게 쉽지가 않네 미련하게도 미련이 남아 후회 비슷한 거리 잘 먹고 잘 살고 있어 너와 달리 난 반쯤 죽어있네 몰랐던 거야 헤어짐에 그 무게를 이기적인 거야 외면했어 네 눈물을 죽겠다 또 어김없이 너의 흔적이 나만을 괴롭힌다 죽겠다 남대하듯이 돌아섰는데 왜 나는 외로울까 죽겠다 죽겠다
All those days watching from the windows, all those years outside looking in, all that time never even knowing just how blind I've been. Now I'm here blinking in the starlight. Now suddenly I see, standing here, it's all so clear. I'm where I'm meant to be. And at last I see the light, and it's like the fog has lifted. And at last I see the light, and it's like the sky is new. And it's warm and real and bright, and the world has somehow shifted. All at once, everything looks different now that I see you.
All those days chasing down a daydream, all those years living in a blur, all that time never truly seeing things the way they were.
방탄소년단의 Fake Love 들려드리겠습니다. I love BTS.
날 위해서라면 슬퍼도 기쁜 척할 수가 있었어. 널 위해서라면 난 아파도 강한 척할 수가 있었어. 사랑이 사랑만이 너 완벽하게 네 모든 내 점들은 다 숨겨지게 이루어지지 않는 꿈속에서 피할 수 없는 꽃을 키웠어. I'm so sick of being fake love, fake love, fake love. I'm so sorry, but it's fake love, fake
정말 오랜만에 GSL 무대에 올라오게 됐는데 실감이 안 나면서도 굉장히 좀 기쁘고 다시 여기 올라올 수 있을까라는 생각을 해본 적이 없었는데 그걸 실현하게 되어서 너무 기쁘고 이렇게 기회가 온 만큼 32강에서 멈추진 않고 멈추고 싶진 않아요. 2019년 새해가 밝았는데 저도 2019년과 함께 같이 돌아왔습니다. 저의 경기를 많이 기다려주신 분들 감사하고 저는 예전보다 더 나아진 경기 그리고 더 재밌는 경기로 팬분들에게 보답을 할 테니까 많은 응원과 관심 부탁드립니다. 감사합니다.
변치 않고 스타트를 응원해주시는 사랑스러운 팬분들 감사합니다. 앞으로도 행복한 일상이 되시길 바랍니다. 너무 기계적인가요? 원래 덕담은 기계적으로 하는 거예요.
이렇게 19년에도 이렇게 스타투를 많이 사랑해주시고 이렇게 아껴주시고 많이 시청해주셔서 감사드리고 앞으로도 좋은 일들만 가득하길 바라겠습니다.
스타트가 좋아야 올 한 해를 마무리를 잘 할 수 있을 거라는 생각 항상 갖고 1월달, 2월달을 임하는데 꼭 이번 GSL 시즌 1에서 여러분들한테 좋은 모습 보여드리고 싶습니다.
첫 번째로 제 커리어를 넘고 싶고 두 번째로는 더욱더 사람들한테 알려줄 수 있는 그런 선수가 되고 싶고요. 세 번째로는 저거 하면은 김준혁이라고 말할 수 있을 정도로의 그런 영향력을 끼칠 수 있는 그런 선수가 되고 싶어요.
이번 연도에 불컨을 일단 가고 싶어요. 불컨을 가고 싶고 그러기 위해서 또 GSL도 우승을 한번 꼭 하고 싶고 우승 2번 하고 싶네요.
게이머로서의 그런 버킷리스트에 일단 우승을 한번 하는 거고요. 그냥 제 개인적인 버킷리스트는 좀 올 한 해도 좀 건강하고 뭔가 좀 저만의 보금자리를 이렇게 만들고 싶은 나만의 집을 갖는 게 또 버킷리스트로 하나 추가가 돼서 그러기 위해서는 꼭 또 GSL 우승과 또 블리즈컨 우승 또 많은 돈을 상금을 벌어야 되는 게 굉장히 중요할 것 같아요.
다른 사람들이 보기에는 말이 안 된다 생각할 수도 있지만 항상 우승을 목표로 하고 있고요. 뭐 매 경기 열심히 준비하고 또 그 과정에서 성장하다 보면은 충분히 할 수 있다고 생각합니다.
마운틴 듀 GSL 시즌 1 리제너레이션.
We are back. It is now time for the winners match, which will be Impact versus TY. Both of them kind of smashing their opponents here.
Yeah, I didn't know exactly what to expect from Fantasy's first kind of re-emergence here at the GSL stage, but I think you can expect to see TY kind of dominate there because he is just so badass. But for Impact to just kind of roll over Leenock like that, I'm just like, wow, you can really tell he planned and calculated all of this and really played to his own play style. So this is going to be a really cool clash to see if he can kind of topple the giant that is TY.
Yeah, I have no idea how he's actually going to approach it because I think in general the kind of aggressive style that he likes to play is one that TY should be able to swat down like a fly.
That's right. Well, it will rely solely on his skill, ability, and talent at doing the do. I don't know. We'll see. Because I don't know what to expect, because TY is like, how do you play aggressively against this guy who can see that coming and just like he did against Fantasy, bat away everything that's coming at you? I don't know what to expect, but we're headed on to Cyber Forest as our first map. Impact versus TY.
마운틴 듀 GSL 시즌1 리제너레이션 게임이 시작됩니다. 사이버 포레스트 게임 준비 완료.
You know what lives?
Impact.
You know what lives in the Cyber Forest, Artosis?
What?
The Cyber Elves. There's a Mega Man X game. You go through the game, you collect these like Cyber Elves that give you like little power-ups or whatever, and they come from the Cyber Forest.
Splice. TY.
Which is obviously the inspiration for this map. I mean, what else could it be?
Well, yeah, if you're probably right. I mean, whoever
probably
made this map is a gamer, so I think you're likely correct.
I don't know.
Mega Man games are good.
I don't know what else could possibly come from the Cyber Forest besides those fans. They're obviously from there too. It's really cool to kind of get a chance to see these maps played out here in Korea. I've been watching a lot of WCS Winter, and some of the games there, man, are just it's not like they're bad, it's just they're strange in a way that you don't get to see replicated here in Korea, which is why, you know, international tournaments are so much fun, because you do get to see those conflicting play styles. So you watch like some of these foreign or online tournaments and you're like, okay, well, this is the way that you do it. And then you see GSL with some of the best players in the world and you're just like, oh, okay, well, I guess you can also do that. I guess let's take a look at their match history. TY, yeah, definitely kind of crushing it there too.
Yeah, that looks about right. Those stats, yeah. Definitely a pretty heavy favorite. I don't know, maybe Impact will use one of these crazy strategies that you're talking about.
Well, I'm thinking about like crazy stress. I remember I was watching TLO's group from WCS Winter, and he's running these Banelings in, or maybe it was like a stream highlight, I forget, but he's running these Banelings into Bio that's attacking a Nidus Worm. And the Banelings are going to get killed, like focused down, but he puts them in the Nidus Worm and then jumps them out on the other side and they explode into the bio. And it's like, I've never seen that before. That's so crazy.
That is cool.
And so every time I think to myself, okay, well, which one of these 3 pre-made strats can you use here? Oh, wow, this is, you know, so predetermined. But no, there is actually quite a bit of uniqueness when you put your brain to it. Oh, no!
Oh, my God. So strong. Oh, you should have seen Impact's face during that. He just, like, gave the biggest smile and shook his head to the side and then, like, looked down. That's so painful.
That is actually heartbreaking. It's like something so simple.
Yeah, the amount that it slows down the third base is pretty substantial. I like that he sneaks out and goes to the other third.
Yeah.
And TY doesn't see it, so good on him. But he was just hoping TY wouldn't see it because he had no way to make that happen.
Oh, yeah, no, because you can't send the queen out there to try to, like, escort the drone. He's going to check up there and he realizes, he got out the other way. Oh, well.
Yeah, so... Actually, I don't know if he's seen that third hatch yet. Yeah, now he sees it. Now he realizes. Okay. By the way, this... what we're seeing from TY, didn't he add a second barracks? Am I crazy?
Well,
yeah,
honestly,
there it is. Okay.
Honestly, I can't see because of the light that's hanging down in front of the production tab.
I told you, yeah, that nailed me earlier.
It's actually a major handicap.
Yeah.
What do we even use that light for, Artosis? It can't be essential to our lighting program here.
Oh, it is essential. That one is specifically. So some nice harassment going on right here. Already 5 drones going down.
Whoa, okay, this is starting to get a little bit out of hand here, Artosis. Okay, thankfully that Hellion glitched out, but we're going to get more? Oh my gosh, that was so close. So many of those drones on low HP. The Reaper got in for the and one. 8
kills. That is really, really substantial. So already doing some good damage. But yeah, I was going to say, this build with the 2 barracks, when he started the second barracks, I'm glad you were talking, because I was going to say he was going to do the 2-1-1, because he has a factory coming and everything. Okay. But then he just added a 3rd command center after denying the 3rd of his opponent. Yeah, so this is a different type of build that we're seeing here. Looks like he's going to make a bunker to play safe. There's a Roach worn out. He's making siege tanks. Obviously, like a lot of Marines being made.
Yeah, one thing I always assume is synonymous with Impact's play styles, like maybe Nidus Roach play, but certainly just Roaches. And I remember there were so many Zerg players who were complaining. It's like, you know, why do I die to like this Archon drop all the time in ZVP? And it's like, well, they were just trying to get away without making Roaches. And I think a lot of times you saw that in ZVT as well. You try to like maybe either skip that or like scrimp on the number of Roaches that you have to hold on, and you just die to a solid push. But this time around, you know, we are going to have the Roaches, we are going to have that Galil reconstitution, and so everybody's sort of checking all the boxes of how you progress up the tech tree. And hopefully for Impact, this can make up for that little hiccup he had with that delayed expansion.
Well, we'll see about that. He definitely needs a lot of units to come out. Kind of interesting. He focuses down that Hellion right now. This attack coming is a little bit scary. The creep spread is all right now. Third base is landed.
I mean, the creep spread is all right.
Kind of an interesting stim there.
Yeah, I don't know what he was kind of afraid of. I think maybe he might have expected there to be maybe secret forces somewhere else out there. But more importantly, I think it's just sort of that star sense. It's like, where should I be on the map? Is it okay for me to be here? I guess there was something that told him, let's get back home.
Well, right now, this is kind of interesting as well, right? He's getting that Roach speed that you mentioned, but he's going into a Spire as well. So clearly wants to go up to Mutalisks. I guess the upgrades that he gets out of these evolution chambers will tell us a bit more.
Yeah, and so there's a number of ways that you can kind of surprise your opponent here, but I believe that, let's see, I guess the Roaches have been scouted, of course, but I think the Spire's still incognito.
Yeah, he might not have seen the Spire. You're definitely right about that. I'm not sure if he scanned it or anything, but these upgrades are very late, and that's making me scared. I guess the Roaches are just a safety measure that he's employing right now. Yeah, and he's going into melee upgrades. I'm very afraid for him, though, because you see that armory that just started?
Yeah.
That's timed out well for 2-2. So he's going to be at 1-1 against 0-0 for a very long time, and then he's going to be at 2-2 versus 1-1 for a very long time. TY, that is, right? So when you're playing this type of style, I feel like you really need your upgrades to be very close to the Terrans.
Well, those upgrades you were talking about for the Terran just now finishing. 1-1 stim combat shields, it's all there. And so that's going to hit right as you have Mutas popping. That's I don't know what you're going to do there. So this is a great way for TY to come out here and really just kind of slam this minor advantage that he has home. That's a little cute, dropping off just the 2 Marines.
Yeah, push those Queens back a little bit, get away with these medevacs that are getting a bit of damage. A lot of Mutas popping out. I think he just saw them. So this is where we should see a few turrets being thrown up. He does have a second factory that was being made, which obviously you would want for siege tanks against Roaches. And in a situation like this, though, you might be going into Thor. You might be going into Widow Mines as well.
Yeah, you know, the Thor changes are something I still haven't like figured out. Okay, well, like I don't know exactly what those are going to do. Obviously, I think people think mostly about Thor versus Broodlord, but you know, I don't usually see Zergs go Mutas as much as they are this season.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm still kind of adjusting to.
Seems like the Mutas are a little bit back in vogue. So.
Yeah.
Cool to see, though. Lingbane Muta, I think, is the golden standard for TVZ. You know, well, yeah, I say that, but I guess what I mean is for entertainment purposes.
Yeah. I always call that like the baseball strats, because you can also say Muta Lingbane, it's MLB. So it's something that sort of has been around as long as StarCraft 2 has been around. In whatever iteration, there's always a way to kind of make that work.
Indeed.
Well, almost all iterations. There's this time in Heart of the Swarm that was a little bit. Anyway, the idea is that it's still here, it's strong, and it's something that Impact is used to pilot to a pretty good spot. I mean, he's almost maxed out here. He's got 4 bases, looking for a 5th here pretty soon, and I'm just like, wow, you know, he's been able to hold on.
Yeah,
really without taking any damage.
Yeah, he's definitely still all right. He hasn't taken that damage, as you say. I think the Roach Ravager may have just made TY stay back a little bit more. You know, I feel like if this was Maru, he probably would have attacked. But TY just sitting back. Looks like he's going to max out, hit his 2-2, and Well, that is kind of the way to play against Zerg in a lot of Terran's opinions.
Yeah, upgrade's super powerful if you're playing this style. Now, he's also getting the Burrow upgrade for Widow Mines, and that's going to be something kind of interesting to work into this comp. Obviously, if you hit one of those shots on the mutants, they just kind of become useless. So,
and Drilling Claws is so good nowadays, too, making them invisible again. So, really cool to see. Definitely will be useful.
Yeah, I was a little bit upset to see the change making them visible after they explode, but adding that back on when you upgrade that actually just feels really good. It's like, okay, that's what the upgrade should do. Ooh, that's not where you want to run your mutants into.
That's painful.
Oh, that last Mutalisk kind of feels like every bit of pain. Oh, it's so painful. But hey, turnabout fair play gets onto an empty mineral line. It's going to shut that base down for now.
The Muta's actually doing surprisingly well so far this game, I got to say. He's picked off some decent units. He's still flying around harassing a little bit at least.
Oh, here we go.
I don't think this attack's going to do it.
I don't know if that's how you're supposed to use Banelings, Artosis. I feel like their ability to kill Thors, like if you pull up the help menu
tank and a Thor.
Whew, I mean, yeah. I mean, that's like that Nest T style from back in the day.
Well, you gotta, the Nest T style is to kill all of the Thors.
Okay, well.
Okay, not just one.
He's not quite there. Actually, weren't you the one that said that, like, Leenock is Nest T?
Oh, yeah,
coming
that
back
was...
in the future?
Yeah, it's like Nest T's younger self.
Right,
yeah,
right,
that's right. That was a thing back in the day.
Okay, well, this
Leenock was the up-and-coming, really strong young Zerg.
Well, we still got to see Leenock in the next series, but right now, there's some hallmarks of that. Impact is desperately trying to hang on, but the Banelings, okay, those are the connections he needs. With the wraparound, getting a little bit of splash damage from the friendly fire, but Impact does clean it up.
Yeah, and Impact still has a really good economy. If you look at it, 81 workers right now, and he's got enough bases. So, I mean, kind of cool to see the way he's playing, but look at this.
Let's not count our workers before they've hatched, or even after they've hatched. Artosis, whoa, that's going to be 12 down for the Widow Mines. He's going to lose a hatchery here as well.
Yeah, losing that hatch is actually a big deal as well. I mean, you got 81, well, you don't have 81 workers anymore after what we've been seeing, but
took
still.
a nosedive.
Yeah. Damn, Drilling Claws are so fast.
They are actually very deceptively fast. And they recloaked it. I just think so good.
Well, that wasn't the hit you were
Suck
looking
it,
for.
Overlord.
Yeah, get out of here. Still a good drone count, but you know, you're never really going to get very far ahead of TY's SCV count. This guy makes more than even anybody, including Alpha Star. Really likes those SCVs.
I'm so upset that that's the one takeaway people got from watching this technological exhibition. It's like, we built lots of workers. And like, yes, TY's been doing that for a long time. I'm glad Alpha Star is catching up to speed. Holy cow, you see that Widow Mine hit? That's a little crazy. Still a little bit too much, or maybe just the right amount. This is the Goldilocks army composition.
Yeah.
It's just right.
Well, right now, you know, I feel like Impact definitely needs some more bases or to do more damage. He's had a few engagements that were all right, but the amount of bases that TY has right now, look at this, he's got 5 bases.
With sensor tower rings up, with units spread between each base to respond, and he's dropping across the map. So I feel like this is really kind of do or die for Impact. If he can hold on through all of this, weather the storm and get more bases up to reach parity here, then we get a chance to watch the rest of this game, but I don't think TY wants to let him get there.
Another good Widow Mine hit right there.
They burrow so fast.
Yeah.
There's a balance guy out there, and he's like, no, this is how fast those should burrow. That's very fast.
I feel like we should have seen another tech by now. Like, I love that he's focusing on getting that +3 carapace and Adrenal. Like, those are absolutely fantastic, great late game things, but I want to see more. I want to see either, you know, it's not bad to throw in a Viper, you know? Throw down a parasitic bomb on some of these medevacs, help you kill them off. But he's really focusing heavily still just on Ling Bane Muta. It's hard to keep that going forever, though.
Yeah, especially because, I mean, when you talk about upgrades, I mean, like, Widow Mines are kind of the great equalizer in a lot of ways. See if it gets friendly fire splash from that. Nope, but it does do a good job taking out a lot of the Lings. But those Mutas are actually putting a lot of pain on this bottom base. Doesn't help that there's a planetary there. Everything here is still going to die to Mutas.
Yeah, that Muta clump continues to gain some value. Now, finally, an Ultra's Cavern is on the way. So if Impact can continue to do a bit more damage, just kill add-ons all day, and, you know, maybe he can still fight back in this game. I mean, obviously, I'm still liking it for TY, though.
A little bit of a hit there from the Widow Mine. So that Mutaclump's been stifled for a second, but I mean, those are actually dealing so much damage. I'm so surprised they're still alive.
Well, he's done a very good job with it, no doubt, except for that one time where he flew over the Bahio.
All right, well, I'm as a Zerg apologist, I'm deliberately forgetting that moment. So they've done tons of good damage. But actually, when you talk about TY building so many workers, he's taken all those hits. He just lost 12 workers, and he's still ahead. So, you know, you can only say too many bad things about that.
No, certainly. Some Liberators starting to come out here, continuing that armor upgrade. Here's TY. And Impact, like, I feel like he's lost these fringe bases a few too many times. This has been a crazy game, like, very entertaining, back and forth. Their armies are all over the place.
He's gonna kill that with Banelings.
He definitely can if he wants. But he would have to actually go into it instead of around the Zerglings.
All right, well, Banelings had some mixed signals there, but he's going to take the base out at least from mining for now. And I love what Impact is doing. He's attacking in multiple locations, being really hard to deal with, but he has to make sure he doesn't take too much damage on the other side as well.
The Lings are doing a good job, but you're right. He's losing bases. That top base would be a free kill. I don't know if TY's... Yeah, he is going to go up there and get it. It's hard for Impact to continually kill these. Oh my god, running into those Widow Mines again. I think that we are just about at the end of this game.
Yeah, that is not the ooh-ah feel you're looking for. That's a little bit more painful, and I think that's going to do it. GG. TY takes game number 1 against Impact.
All right. I mean, obviously, TY playing very, very strongly there, but I think, for me, one of the takeaways is that Impact played very well. He wasn't really that aggressive. He got the Roach Horn a little bit early, but it seemed like he was using it more defensively than anything, which seemed all right against what TY was doing with the double barracks pretty quickly in the siege tanks. But overall, he played a very strong macro game.
Well, why do you think he stayed so long on just mutilating Bane?
I think he's liking all the different attack paths that he has, and just kind of keeping that pressure up. I think that he had so much pressure upon him as well, it was hard to do something like a switch into Ultras at that point. That can get a little bit rough when you're losing bases over and over.
Yeah, and even if he can hang on, if he's not continuing to get ahead, it's a little bit too stagnant. TY, you can see, just never stopped growing. Those Widow Mines, man, those were so crazy.
Yeah, they were good. And I mean, the moment when the Banelings killed the siege tank and the Thor.
Woo! I mean, not necessarily working as intended there. It's like, yeah, yes, you can use a hammer to, you know, pound a square peg through a round hole, but it's not what it's meant for. Let's get on to King Scope, or Neo Repugnancy for our next game.
Regeneration. 게임이 시작됩니다. 뉴 리퍼그넌시. 게임 준비 완료. Impact.
We always get some solid claps for Impact.
He deserves them.
I kind of miss like the old school Brood War cheers where we just like do the 1, 2, 3 and then cheer for them. TY is always.
I think we get that sometimes.
Yeah, I guess we do. Huh.
But yeah, it's kind of the part of the culture of Brood War, I guess, out here.
Oh, it's definitely one of the reasons you should come watch StarCraft in person. The feel from being in the crowd when everybody's just like going crazy, it's so worth it. As those fans know very well. So you should be jealous.
Indeed. So, are we going to see another game that looked like that last one? I definitely would not mind. It was a very entertaining game.
Well, I think
Really
Impact
like
at least hopes to get his next hatchery down without it being canceled by a Reaper. That would be,
yeah,
that would be helpful.
That was painful.
Like, TY doesn't need any help, like, getting ahead in games. So, for that, I think you could really see Impact just be like, really? Really?
Yeah. Most of the time, Zergs can dodge that occurring, like either get the hatchery down or get onto the geyser, but Terrans have gotten very good at nailing that third now.
Oh, it's
the
such
second
a
time
tight
we've seen it
timing.
this season.
Well, I mean, we're going to see Impact probably be able to take that one a little bit easier this time. I mean, if you get that twice in a row, at that point, something's like, the wheels are falling off. But let's see if he goes back for that 2 barracks kind of opener. I don't know really what to expect, but I think TY by far, like, you know, back in the day, his thing was dropping. He had the Medanks, that he would fly
Oh,
around
God,
everywhere.
yeah, the
That's the
Medanks.
first moment that I really realized, wait a second, this guy is impossibly badass. But he would just kill Infinity Ravagers by just dropping tanks around them. And thankfully that is patched out by now. I think we're all a little bit happier about that. But
I liked the Medanks.
They were...
For anyone who's confused to what we were talking about, this siege tanks could be picked up in siege mode for a patch or two. And yeah, I think it made some of these matchups really, really interesting. Like TBT was very different during that, and it was kind of a cool thing. But yeah, I guess it's probably better this way. Like the siege tank packs maybe too much of a punch to be that mobile.
Yeah, and so he still tried that with some of the Beyond micro, where you pick up and drop the unsieged tanks to kill roaches and ravagers as they run around the map. But yeah, I've actually seen TY, I think, favor more bio play than a lot of the mech that he would go for previously.
In this matchup, you mean?
Yeah, TVZ.
Yeah, I think while you certainly can mech in this matchup, I think that there's no reason for TY to do it. I've always felt like, well, I guess Maru probably has the best late game against Zerg now, but TY historically, I think, has spent more time at the top of late game TVZ than anyone else.
I would say Gumiho, as far as mech goes, has really kind of pioneered that in the matchup and really made it a whole lot more viable.
Yeah, and what I was talking about more was like Ghost Liberator type of compositions.
So like way late game.
That's what I think that TY is second to none at. So like even if his bio isn't as deadly early on like Maru's, I feel like late game he is just so comfortable and so strong. But yeah, Gumiho is the one guy that really mechs. Like he's better at mech than everyone. We can admit that.
Well, that was when Zergs were just using Swarm hosts, and he would like drop the Thors on them to drop the Locusts and then pick them back up again.
Yeah.
He's just so badass.
That was awesome. The first times I saw him actually perfecting his new style, which would be Viking heavy and Thor drop heavy early on, was actually against Cyril in one of the Take TV online tournaments that they were having.
Was that
like
the Penthouse?
Yeah. Damn, jinx. But yeah, I think that's where he really got that style and kind of revived himself as a player. But anyways, we're in a
All right, we
bio
talked about
game
everything except this
TY versus Impact. Yeah. There's a Roach Horn up. He sees it. It seems like this is not exactly the same build as last game, right? Wait, no, I mean, he has the Hellions. He went 2 barracks pretty early, too, didn't he? Yeah, he did.
Right, but I think the real tell of this game is that he saw the roaches. You know, there were roaches in the last game, but now there's significantly more of them. So he throws down the second bunker, but it's not actually on time. I guess he can try to buy enough time. One will finish, but the biles are already starting to chunk through the depot wall.
Yeah. This is pretty annoying to deal with at the moment. It seems like with that Seachank on high ground, you don't really have anything to spot that, so no way to get it.
Yeah, and he's supply blocked, so he's gonna, if he loses the second depot, that's gonna make it really annoying to get out the forces he needs to hang on here. Oh, just a bile short.
Oh, here comes that siege tank, try to help out.
Ooh,
TY's serious about keeping this. All right, it is now medevac time. Double medevac being sent out. He's safe at home with the siege tanks. Looks like Overlord speed on the way. A Drop Lord as well. Ooh, I'm interested. What are you doing, Impact?
Yeah, and where's he gonna come in from? I'm looking on the map for where that Drop Overlord is, and I'm not seeing it. Maybe that was the, okay, there it is. But it's just gonna get seen immediately.
Oh, this is...
Fly away! No!
That's really sad, actually. That he made it right there, and then the medevacs just came. I wonder if he was trying to make an Overseer and he hit the wrong key or something.
Uh-oh.
Because that was weird.
Oh, I turned around. I'm getting ready to see that trademark Impact face. It's like, not like this. Lining him up and taking him down there. A nice little barbecue at Impact space. 11 drones and probably more. Yeah, going down.
12 drones. It's so painful. Poor Impact.
Ooh. He's really just not getting any breaks. Like, I mean, not that you hope for luck or should rely on that to win games, but sometimes you just need every little bit of help you can get, and Impact is certainly not getting any of that.
Okay, he's making a new Drop Lord, so I guess that wasn't a mistake. What is the Drop Lord for? I'm very excited.
And will he morph it right in front?
It's like right here being morphed when he drops the reeds again. Well,
okay, well, it's not right there. Where is it? I think it's right above these tanks in the middle of the map. if I'm not mistaken.
So it's just going to be like a...
Well, yeah,
Oh,
like what's the
roach
play?
drop? Maybe he's making 10 overlords right now. He's making 10 overlords all at once.
Okay, we're
what
just
is this,
gonna
Stefano? What am I watching here?
I think we're just going to see infinity roaches here. I mean, that's what mass overlords means, right?
Yeah, yeah. I guess that makes sense. Like the 1-1 timing pushes that you can do with Roach can be powerful.
Yeah, he's going to have speed at the same time, too. So I think that's the thing.
Yeah, you remember, though, this is how Solar kind of threw against Bunny. And
Oh,
ended up
God.
not
Oh, don't
advancing.
even remind me. I want to erase that game from the annals of history.
Yeah, it's definitely something that a really strong Terran player can end up stopping and can kind of abuse in some certain ways, but sometimes you just roll over them as well.
Well, I think you really only get abused if you keep trying to hammer that in over and over again. Well, here comes the drop. It's immediately met by a missile turret. While, yes, there's enough to push back this counter drop, see how much damage these little lings can do.
4 lings made it.
Yeah. Okay, well, there you go.
Okay, so this is a really serious attack coming up.
Yeah.
It looks like +1 already finished. The +1 armor is going to be just slightly late. TY, I mean, he's got a nice wall here. He's got some siege tanks set up. Like, obviously, you're looking to force the third away.
Oh, no, he missed the bile on that tank, so he gets 2 extra shots off. I don't know about this one, Artosis. I feel like this is do or die for sure.
The tanks are actually just very well placed. The fact that he's only killed 1 so far, all these are getting pot shots. Like, there's a lot of supply here, but I don't think he did enough with the first part of the push.
I mean, you gotta believe in the heart of the cards at this point, Artos. It's like, certainly something has to go right here for Impact. The Dream Biles, where are they? Can they hit everything? Some do land on the bio in the back, but there's still all these tanks. There's 2 more behind this, and he's breaking through.
All right, let's see what he can end up killing here. He's actually hit a lot of biles, as you said. More roaches coming up. Down go the last siege tanks. The Liberator fell as well, as we saw.
He's losing a bunch of Ravagers, but the reinforcement roaches do kind of push this bio back. There's the more siege tanks. Oh, actually, there is one left there at the natural, but I think this is just taking too long for Impact to break.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. He started to have some good engagements. He needed those right at the beginning. Instead, right now, TY is barely behind on workers. He's got plenty of siege tanks right now. He's microing his bio well. 2-2 is on the way. All these things spell disaster for this type of build.
Yeah, you can never take killing SCVs as an advantage against TY because he just has so many. So even after losing like 20 SCVs, he's still only down by a couple at this point. So. Plus, you gotta add in mules there. And I feel like we're starting to get into Solar territory in this game versus Bunny, where you keep hammering the Roach key over and over again.
Well, I think that Impact has to. He has to keep this pressure up. He hasn't done enough damage. Solar probably could have switched out of it. But here, it's like you can't be like, okay, it's time to make Hydras. That's just not gonna work.
So he's going to run the Overseer in to try to get high vision of some of these tanks, maybe push up to bile them down. He's going to get through the Marines and stuff. So here we go. We should see bios on the tanks in the back, but actually none have gone off yet. He's actually bioing the bio. Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, he biled a medevac out of the sky there as well. He's doing a good job with the biles overall. Can he kill those 2 tanks on the high ground?
Oh, close, and he will get them.
Yeah, all right, all right.
He's still hemorrhaging Ravagers here, and there are Liberators out, so I mean, if he can get the damage done, maybe he pushes through. He did kill 20 SCVs, but once again, this is actually finally putting a big dent in that worker supply for
It is, but this also could do a ton of damage. This one medevac that he sent out, sure, he's a little bit low on units at home, but he's got them in good positions, and that's causing a lot of lost mining time.
TY is playing on the bleeding edge. I have to hold on against an all-in and deal damage? It's a tall order, but I think TY just might do it.
God, that was disgusting what just happened there. So many Roaches and Ravagers falling. Looks like he has forced away this drop for now. TY getting lower on those workers. He has 2-2 though. Keeping this harassment up keeps a lot of units over here, let's not forget.
I think TY calculated this perfectly, saying, look, even though I risk dying by harassing, this is going to keep more back at home than I lose by harassing.
Yeah, definitely you're right about that. Now, he's going to have to send more units across the map if he wants to keep attacking. He's making units non-stop here. Impact still has a pretty solid set of drones, almost 60.
I mean, TY is down in every way. Let's look at it that way. I mean, supply's a little bit deceptive because Roaches cost so much. But
with those upgrades and the tech advantage, the 3 base versus, you know, well, I guess it's technically 4 base now.
Yeah, I mean, drops are a surefire way to get back into the game. The upgrades are good. The medevacs are allowing these Marines to just deal so much damage, and you have to make a choice. Do you stay at home and try to hold on and fend off these harassment, or do you try to push across the map and deal damage? And it looks like Impact has kind of had enough here, going for the 3rd.
Yeah, biling heavily onto that orbital, but there's so many tanks on the high ground, it doesn't feel like he can do too much there. In fact, look at this. He throws down a Spire. He's being forced to make more drones now, and that's never good for this rush.
Oh, he's not biling the tanks on the high ground either. He's just trying to push in a little bit further, and he's continuing to take heavy damage back at home. You know, Terrans can make workers and army at the same time. Zerg can't, so this is just hurting Impact in so many different ways. Can he take it down? Yes!
Ooh.
Gets the 3rd. A big pickup. Finally, something going Impact's way.
That is a big deal right there, for sure. It's just, look at this now. The army supply is larger for TY. Roach supply is the most worthless in the game,
it's
right?
so bad.
It doesn't translate to strength very well. Now, there are Ravagers in there. Those are good for supply, but overall, it's feeling worse and worse for Impact, even though he got that damage done.
And nothing hits the air, so this medevac just runs back and forth, and is just,
look at that.
super balanced. Wow.
2-2 and a lot of siege tanks.
Well, I don't know exactly what the timing is on the 2-2 for Impact.
He never started it.
Oh my. Okay, well, then this is just going to be a little rough. Can't mine from that base. The medevacs are flying around, taking out overlords up top. At those bases, where do you go?
Well, you got to stop this incoming push. If he could crush it, then we could talk. Let's see.
Oh, he's going to try to hold on here.
Ooh!
By little nice. Bile's taking out that
kind of a
bonus
lucky one on that tank, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely going to lose that hatchery, and so TY has finally kind of flipped the script and rubber banded across the map to deal damage. And I mean, yeah, you're right. He never started those upgrades. So, like,
well, he's going into mutas now. I think the mutas are more for shutting down drops than anything else. I guess if he gets a good clump, he might be able to start picking off some of the siege tanks on high ground that have been foiling his attacks.
Ooh, yeah.
If he can just shut down the
vision.
Yeah, if he can shut down the drops at all, he can at least move back and maybe hit the 3rd again, pick units off. He has to get active very soon, though, regardless.
I mean, look, TY, he's on 29 workers, Artosis. That's just low. Like, that's
low.
good at limbo low. Like, that's
right.
Way down there.
Yes, indeed.
Down to the flow, as they say.
Well, he's certainly not going to be taking a 4th base anytime soon, right? So
no.
I guess he's going to chill on this number of workers, continue to try to get his damage done.
It's like Valve +1. It's like, that's the number he can't say this game. I mean, maybe he can always hold on. Like, that is one thing that continually impresses me about Terran players. It's like, you just can never count them out. He's got a sensor tower ring. He's just really kind of hunkering down, saying, "Look, man, I just got to get back into the game."
Well, Impact, how are you going to get back into this game? It's a bit of a tough one. He's got good creep spread, though. He's taking an additional base.
He's finally getting those level 2 upgrades, too. So those were a long time coming.
He's got 11 mutas, but there's a Thor out already. We saw that drilling clause is being made, too, right? So these are things that point towards a hard time for these mutalisks.
Oh, he took out a couple of the medevacs. There's still 2 more out here clearing out the creep, but even those, like, they're not killing drones, right? So we can stabilize here. And I think finally, for the first time in this game, we get a little bit of breathing room. Unless mutas run into a Widow Mine, and then everything explodes. So let's find out.
Yeah, can't quite go in there. TY's defense looks rock solid at the moment. Looks like he is going to go ahead and float another command center over here. Take his 4th base finally.
I mean, we'll see. This is maybe a little bit optimistic. He did limit the creep spread, so that makes the 4th maybe somewhat safer.
All right, the Muta's trying to harass the natural a little bit here, going after anything that they can get.
Supply dropped.
You know.
I always all in on those things.
I tunnel vision on those things, too.
It's so crazy.
It just feels too good to kill.
It counts as 2 depots.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Okay, well, wisely not doing what we would do. He is the better player. And look at this. He's multi-pronged, harassing, defending. TY, I think he's finally gotten the entrenched position he needs.
Yeah, how do you break that? That is just a ridiculous defense slash attack because we're all in the center of the map right now.
Oh, he does it all, yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, TY is doing it all. He's attacking, he's defending. The mutas are pretty neutered at this point. Like, what do you...
Hey, that's a meme for you. TY, he attack, he defend. What's the third thing?
No, he protect, he attack, but most of all, he back.
All right, there you go.
Best I could do on short notice.
Yeah. Well, we have a maxed out impact, so this is not going to get better for him after Baneling's speed is complete. I would say that he needs to do something soon. The only other option is to sit here and bank up a little bit and just try to crush an army when it actually unsieges. That I wouldn't really fault him for trying that, but...
Well, we're going to go back to that, I guess it's Roach, Muta, Bane. I don't know if that's really a comp, but that's where we're at. He's got some Lings in there, too. We're just kind of throwing the whole textbook at him. Here we go. All right. Once again, running some Banelings into tanks. I don't know if that's going to work out. Muta's coming around from the side. The Biles actually do hit the tanks, but there's just so many of them, and there's not enough in the end. GGTY. 2-0.
Yeah, he was... I think Impact played, like, pretty decently, but the defense was way too strong there. He took too much damage early on trying to go for that 1-1 Roach Ravager build. He actually did better than I even thought he would, to be honest. But TY is very clearly the stronger player in this matchup.
I look at Impact after that game, and he looks like he's aged like 10 years after playing that best of 3. I mean, the first game was a little bit heartbreaking, that Reaper delaying his hatchery, and then in game number 2, I felt like he was so close to the tipping point at so many times, but that's why TY is the best.
All right. Well, we are going to go to an interview with TY about his advancement. Brian, take it away.
All right, here's your winner for Group G, TY. Congratulations.
네, 정말 축하드립니다. 먼저 1위 진출 소감부터 들어볼게요.
Now, can you please tell us how you feel about finishing first today? I was very anxious prior to coming here, but I feel very content for making it out of the group as a first place. I thought this was an arduous group. However, I think my gameplays were on a stellar level today. A lot of players who perform well always say they're anxious prior to the matches. What do you think about that? I think my TVZ was pretty solid during my practice sessions, but Fantasy has a very high quality TVT. And he's a veteran of a veteran, so I thought he was going to be the biggest obstacle coming into today's match. So I was a bit shaky about my TVT. However, after I won the match versus Fantasy, I had the ample confidence to go through as winner of the group. No, you lost to Impact in the GSL preliminaries. What exactly happened? Yeah, I got crushed by Nidus Networks, and then I realized that he has a lot of favor to using Nidus Networks, and I also watched his earlier game versus Leenock using the Nidus Network. So I had the Nidus Network so much in mind, so I kind of got my better end of it. So how did you feel about the set number 2? No, I thought I was in a very favorable position, so I thought I was just going to gather my units and then just rush him to end him. I shouldn't have built supply depots at the third base, but I built so many of it, and then all of them got destroyed. So I had a supply cap for a while, so I couldn't produce enough units. So there was some adversities during that period of time, but I was able to manage it through fairly well. In New Repugnancy, you used the tank on the high ground.
네, 아무래도
Did you
그 맵이 이번 신맵
prepare
중에서
this
돌덩이도
methodologically
많고
prior to it, or was this something
활용하기 가장
made impromptu?
좋은 맵이라는 그러니까 생각이 들어서
I believe
이번에
that New Repugnancy
제거를
is the
하지
best map
않았고
to use the terrains
전장이
within the
테란한테
maps,
괜찮다고
and I
생각을
believe
해서
that the overall terrain of the map is favored for Terran, so I was confident playing in this map.
여전히 강력한 GSL 우승
So
후보다
very
그런
clean
모습을
game today with a
보여주셨습니다.
4-0
자, 여전히
victory.
강력한 우승 후보인데 벌써
You're one of the
이 GSL
favorites to win the whole tournament.
진입을 하셨어요.
However, you
올해는 달라야겠죠.
finished as runner-up twice in previous GSL. So, what are your thoughts about it?
뭔가 눈앞에서 놓치는 기분.
No, I think I got robbed right in front of the trophy. So, and also I have never won a tournament, domestic tournaments in Korea. So I really yearn to win one and write another accomplishment onto my resume.
결승은 정말 아까웠던 것 같아요.
That was a very nail-biting series versus Maru in last season's GSL finals.
조성주 선수가 가장 만나기 싫어했던 가장
Maru
까다로워했던 상대였거든요.
pointed you as one of the players whom he doesn't want to face at all. Do you have any players in particular that you
솔직히
want to
16강에
avoid?
들어온 선수들은 가장 잘하는 선수들이 모여가지고 다.
No, I think the round of 16 is composed of all the top tier players. So out of the 16 players, or the ones who qualified thus far, I think Dark will be the most arduous opponent because there was also one of the events that I attended and played versus Dark, and then he was a very hard opponent. So I think I want to avoid him as much as possible until the very end.
자, 전태양 선수 많은 팬분들이 와서 응원을 해주셨습니다.
A lot of fans came down to the studio to cheer for you. So any words to the fans?
좀 이른 아침 경기인데도 이렇게
It was an
와주셔서
early day today.
감사하고요.
I'm really grateful for coming down here cheering for me.
제가 지난 시즌에 준우승하면서 아쉽게 팬분들한테 좋게 마무리를 못
And I don't
드렸던
think
것
I made
같은데
a great finish by finishing as a runner-up last season.
이번 시즌에는 꼭 우승할
I
수
think
있도록
I made a
최선을
pretty
다하겠습니다.
good run.
감사합니다.
So I'll finish it strong as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Brian. Well, so there you hear it from TY. He's only afraid of Dark, really. That's the hardest one for him in the next round.
Well, I mean, in the next round of 24, we actually have Rogue playing, another player who could absolutely be one of the Zergs. But we actually don't have too many Zergs in the next round already. I think only two have
Only two so
qualified
far. But we have two Zergs today. We still have
That's right.
Rogue waiting to play on the next play day.
I think it will
so
even
potential.
out eventually. Yeah, you're right. But we're going to head out to a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll come back with our losers match.
shadow to my light. Did you feel us? Another star, you fade away. Afraid our aim is out of sight. Wanna see us alive. Where are you now? Where are you now? Where are you now? Was it all in my fantasy? Where are you now? Were you only imaginary? Where are you now? Atlantis, under the sea, under the sea. Where are you now? Another dream. The monsters running wild inside of me. I'm faded. I'm faded. So lost. I'm faded. I'm faded. So lost. I'm faded. These shallow waters never met what I needed. I'm letting go. 같이 껴져버린 사이 더 기워봐도 다시 그대로 우리 되돌려 놓을 수 없는 그 얘기 날카롭게 패인 이 상처가 깊어 나을 수 없으니 떠나가요.
마운틴듀 GSL 시즌 1 리제너레이션.
All right, so TY advances in first place in dominating fashion. One more player is going to get out of here between Fantasy, Leenock, and Impact. Who do you think that's going to be?
My heart says Fantasy, man. I can't root against this guy. He was so much a part of me experiencing StarCraft for the first time that I just like, I gotta go with Fantasy. Also, of course, wearing the sickest logo in StarCraft.
The alien giving everyone the finger. I love it too.
It's so sick. But also Leenock, you know, this is kind of his time to shine. We never got the epic rematch of Leenock, like really able to overthrow TY, a guy that knocked him out the last time he was here. So that's a storyline in the trash can. But actually, I'm excited to see if he can just advance because I want a better showing now that he's at full force. He's not fresh out of the hospital bed. He can actually practice and play well.
Well, I think that this is going to be a real skill tester to see what sort of shape both of them are truly in right now. Because we only saw ZVZ from Leenock. His ZVT as of last season makes me predict that he should beat Fantasy.
Right.
But Fantasy's been doing very well. So if he can take down Leenock, he absolutely can take down Impact.
Oh yeah, totally, of course. I would say Leenock and Impact are really about as close to the skill level of each other as you get between players. So it's really cool because Fantasy, like, he's a little bit unproven, and I'm excited to see if he can overcome the obstacles in his way as we get into our losers match here coming up.
게임이 시작됩니다. 뉴 리파브넌시 게임 준비 완료.
I'm kind of jamming out to the metal intros that we have here.
Player 1.
And I remember if you guys were watching the commercial break, they had one of the BJs, the broadcast jockeys, that's out there like dancing on a bridge. And I'm thinking like while yes, it is cool that I'm here casting StarCraft, like I feel bad about myself for like attempting to dance after watching that because it's just like actually so good. Kind of like I feel bad for watching these guys be so good at StarCraft while I also suck at that. It's like there's very few things I'm good at except using my mouth. Well, vocal cords. Yeah, okay, there you go.
Thank you for that clarification, Rapid.
We're just moving on. Wow.
I'm just going to let you talk.
Isn't there that
few
crazy?
Minutes.
I'm so happy that you have arms on both sides of your torso, Artosis. Just like, wow, I'm so impressed by all of these things.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing about the passage of time. It just keeps moving forward.
Yeah, no, it seems to. So.
Just like the hole I dig keeps getting deeper. It's like the preamble to the Constitution. We hold these truths to be self-evident. They just keep happening.
All right.
I successfully claimed the first 1.5 minutes of the broadcast.
You did
Sick.
a great job.
Sick. I held it down.
Great job. You and Tasteless both. I just applaud
Tasteless
you
is like shoving vitamin C down his throat. Like, oh man, I really have to get well now.
But, you know, for this matchup, okay, I'm excited to see what Fantasy's TVZ looks like, but Leenock is absolutely no slouch in ZVT. I think he's better than Impact at the matchup for sure. So this seems to me to be the big test for Leenock, but we saw in that last series as well that, you know, Impact definitely can macro. He has, you know, great control of that timing attack that he hit. It definitely could be something that's hard for Fantasy to deal with. It was much more popular a long time ago. So as a player that wasn't playing during that time, maybe that's going to be harder for him to deal with.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it's important to kind of highlight what the best case scenario looks like for both players. You know, I've only seen a couple of the tournaments that Fantasy's played in recently. I think he won one of the Africa World tournaments. This is one of these 4-player tournaments that happens periodically. And when I was watching him there, every single game, he's getting out there with a loaded up medevac. He's trying to be proactive, harass, and he gets little advantages, and then he hits you with a big push after that. You can see that he's trying to do that against TY. TY's just a little bit too good. So now we get a chance to see what he's like here in a different matchup. It's not TVT. And I want to see what the best case scenario is for him. What is the style that we need to associate with this new resurgence of a very old player?
Well, not sure yet. We're
yeah, we didn't really get a chance to see that versus TY.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was trying to be aggressive, so we can kind of give him that so far. But in this game that we're looking at, right, just some Hellions being made. He went for a very fast third command center, so that's something. Okay, mech. Now this is not surprising me. Just like I said, I didn't think he would mech in TVT. But he would be more likely to mech in TVZ or TVP, and I'm sure that sounds really weird to people because that doesn't quite make sense. If you're good at mech, the best matchup for it, generally speaking, is TVT. But if you look at the type of style he likes to play and everything, he was actually a big innovator of mech in Brood War. He was maybe the best mech player against Zerg overall, I would say.
You're right. Mech versus Zerg, at least in the era he played, was very not common. So you saw a lot of like the emergence of SK Terran is like really strong. But the idea is that you're right. He innovated a lot for mech. So I mean, it's a different game. So you take that with maybe a little bit of grain of salt. But it's exciting to see him kind of start playing that style. I was just waiting for the armory to come down and have the all-in attempt, but it doesn't look like, that's not where we're going with this.
Yeah, you know, StarCraft shows you who you really are. And I think that it's kind of ingrained in Fantasy to do slightly off-color builds and stuff. He's never going to be, you know, trying to do exactly what Innovation does or something like that.
Right, this guy's not a meta slave.
I want to see Leenock's vision. I don't think he saw the Sync Impact.
No.
But he did see, yeah, he saw this Rex. I think he can tell there that there's no add-on. If you can kind of guess what's going on, I think. Because, like, that just won't occur, but I'm not 100% sure if you saw that.
Well, we are going to just be going for straight up, I guess, the Battle-y mech. We've got 2 Cyclones all the way.
Ooh, yeah, you're right, Battle Mech.
The Swag Field Accelerator.
Swag Field. I like it.
You got to be a baller to upgrade that one, and or want to kill buildings the most annoying way possible.
So, Battle Mech won't look anything like it used to. Like, the Cyclones have changed so dramatically. That once upon a time, what we called Battle Mech was like a mech that you were out on the map with trying to do battle, and it would be Hellion-based with a bunch of Cyclones in it because they shot so fast. They just kind of helped you out. But this should be what a newer version of it looks like, where you only get a couple Cyclones, and then you just use the lock-on feature to power down whatever you want, and you protect them with the Hellion. So a little bit different, but kind of the same idea. You're looking for some engagements, you're looking to mix it up a bit early on, which is the opposite of how the other mech units like siege tanks operate.
Right, yeah, you would associate siege tanks and Thors with like a very slow, methodical, entrenched kind of push. But this is more mobile, I'm moving around, I'm hitting you hard with some very hard-hitting units.
Look at this, he gets rid of a couple Overlords so far, but also a ton of Creep Tumors. So, so far this has done well. Now he's scanning around, kind of checking tech. He definitely needs to know if something like Mutalisks would be on the way. But right now, what Leenock's doing, and I love it, he throws down the Infestation Pit, and he's getting that Hydralisk Den as well.
Yeah, and he's using Roaches in the meantime to sort of stabilize and kind of battle it out against this sort of scrappy style that Fantasy's choosing to play.
Now this is a little bit interesting. He throws down the Hive immediately. When I was saying I was loving the Infestation Pit, it was because I was kind of assuming that he would go for some Swarm Hosts, which can be very, very strong against mech. He's not doing that at the moment. We, of course, don't know. Maybe he'll do that a little bit later. But instead, what we'll probably see is him rush up into Vipers, which is a very normal way to play against mech. Go Roach, Hydra, Viper. And that just kind of helps you out when they do their actual timing push. Like, mech will get maxed or close to max and push with something that will crush unless you have Vipers that do well.
And I guess that is what Leenock is figuring out. He's like, okay, I need to reach a little bit to get to this tech, but once I get there, that'll save me. So maybe putting a lot of eggs in that basket, maybe switching over from Roach to Hydra production and getting the corresponding upgrades. And Fantasy has not chosen to go for like a really heavy push. But he's getting some good harassment done now that Blue Flame is finished on those Hellions.
Yeah, really quite nice. Look at that, 7 killed right there. He's picking off some units in the center of the map, not really losing much of anything.
This is kind of the style, one of the changes you were illustrating in the way the Battle Mech is played. You can do this sort of like, haha, I'm going to chase you and kill you with lock-on, whereas that didn't work with the previous Cyclones.
Yeah, they'd have to actually give you an engage. Now these Blue Flame Hellions, worth their weight in gold.
Is this MLG all over again? Like, I mean, Leenock did win 2 of those tournaments. So,
yeah, that's true. That's
got to
true.
bring it back a little bit. Was it Providence and...
good memory.
God, I have no idea what the other one was. Raleigh? I want to say it was Raleigh.
I can't remember which one.
Those were the glory days. Also an IPL 5 champion. Just got to drop all the old tournaments.
I got to disagree. Today are the glory days. Like, people remember fondly those old days. The game is so much better right now than it was back then.
Oh, my nostalgia rose-colored glasses are just the thickest. They're thicker than Parting's glasses.
Well, they're still not as thick as every troll on the internet. Now, look at how much damage he's getting done with this. This is crazy. Still producing Cyclones. Now, I'm like kind of getting chills because this is such a different style of mech than what I'm used to. Oh, that's so funny when they lock on his Zerglings. Who cares? But like, we have all these Vipers right now, right? Which against the more siege tank heavy push that comes out when Terran's getting near max in this matchup, that's like, obviously you need the Vipers there. I don't know if the Vipers are going to be as useful in this type of situation.
Well, especially not if they get locked in on. And honestly, okay, you abduct a unit, but none of these units are individually as valuable as, like, if you had a few key siege tanks or Thors that you were yanking in.
Yeah, it's quite true, and especially if you throw some Blinding Clouds down, they can't move out of it. In this case, like, look at this, he's just chasing him down, killing everything.
Like, you can't run from this. Usually, you would say of, like, a Ravager heavy army, oh, that army can't run. But now, no matter what it is, you're also not running because this is such a fast mobile mech army.
This is so cool. I really like it. Now, he is adding in some siege tanks.
Okay.
I mean, siege tanks are just good, so cool. But one Storm Host on the way.
Oh. It's a misclick. Okay. I mean, you can always build a few more of those, and they're not bad, but like, especially against battle mech, like you just don't get as much value out of them.
But the thing is, you can counterattack with them a little bit. I guess it's harder to be on the map with them because the battle mech can catch them on their way out. So
I think nowadays you combine them with things like Nidus play, and it looks a little bit cool. But
sure.
I've never seen that really super well executed aside from Rogue when it was previously popular. So I don't know what that looks like nowadays. But man, these Blue Flame Hellions continue to get in for just damage, just harassment.
They're doing great. I'm really enjoying the way that Fantasy is interpreting this matchup right now. This is fantastic.
Yeah, you know, this is the opposite of like if you Google a build and try to execute it on ladder. It's like no. He clearly like really understands how to pilot this at each individual phase of the game, what you need in each situation, how to engage.
Yeah. Now look at this. This is beautiful play right now. He's trying to just abduct things up to the high ground. On high ground, it's going to be much harder for the Cyclones to actually keep that lock on going. Look at that nice abduct onto. Oh, this is looking so much better for Leenock than the last
Actually,
engage.
how many abducts were there? Oh my god.
Yeah, he used 8 abducts. So he killed 8 good units. Now, obviously, he is losing some units here, but the area he's chosen to engage is opposite of the other area where he was going to high ground. Here he's coming from high ground to low ground, which is just making him have such a better time against these Cyclones that need a scan to see.
And this is really an interesting comp to use here for Leenock. He's going Hydra Viper.
Yeah.
Because you don't need the meaty beefy roaches. If you went those, that might actually be bad because they aren't going to be able to deal with things like being locked on and kind of kited away. And here we go. I think actually Fantasy might have overextended a little bit. After refueling, the Viper's going to yank in even more of this mobile army. And while, yes, there are siege tanks behind this, the battle mech is kind of dwindling.
Well, yeah, it's still a little bit scary here. He's got to refill those, though, because pure Hydra can't engage anything with siege tanks in it. Like, that's just not the way it's going to end up working out.
Rest in peace, the single hell muffin. We remember thee fondly. Never dropped anything. It was just died.
Guy. Aww. Okay, so Fantasy kills this base and now can back up a bit, adding a lot of starports at the moment. Kind of excited to see what he wants to do with that. Getting the fusion core. I don't know.
If it's not a rush, I'm not excited, Artosis.
You're not excited about late game BCs?
I'm still actually super excited about
It doesn't necessarily have to be that either, though. It could be a...
Well, we got to get there, Artosis. I mean, this guy looks like, you know, the maw of Cthulhu or Amon or whatever you want to say. There's just tentacles everywhere. I mean, this would be really popular in some countries, but I think in this one, it's working very well.
It's certainly doing something right now. Like, the amount of abducts that we've seen has been
Do they
massive.
run out of energy? Like,
no. Zerg spellcasters just refill their energy.
Oh, just like in StarCraft 1.
Yeah.
Oh,
no, it's just this is what Zerg does.
Okay, cool. All right,
free units, free spells, free everything, man.
Well, wouldn't that make the Terran player kind of like sad disadvantage? Like,
well, I mean, he's still got a lot of supply, man. He's still fighting well. Don't forget that Hydras are not really that cheap. So if you're killing several Hydras for each time he abducts, I guess you're going to be fine still. Fantasy continuing to expand. He's taking his 5th base right down here, as we see. Not really mining yet, but at least he is going to it. Now, it is Liberators being made, not BCs. I was excited. I was hoping.
1, 2, 3. Aww. Okay.
I think though he's going to use these Liberators at this time for some harassment. I don't really see them being that helpful with this army because of the pure amount of Vipers and Hydras.
Do you get range to do that though? Like,
well, if you're just going to go harass right now, and it's the first time they're seeing, you know, these Liberators, I think it's like fine to not have range, but he can get it later. I mean, if you just fly him over, he hasn't seen a Liberator yet, right? So the Liberators will do something because he's not really ready for them.
Does Abduct cancel Yamato Cannon?
That's a very good question. I don't know.
All right, well, there's your homework. You guys know the answer to that. We did Artosis arrive, but let's see how well these Vipers fare now that we've sort of teched up just a little bit. Because, I mean, this is a super well-entrenched position. You can't really just push in here, can you?
No, but you can abduct those Liberators, so...
Okay.
is going to kill a few of those off. This is so fun.
Actually, that's one cool thing about range is it puts you out of abduct range when you use the Liberators, so you can't get, you have to actually dive in with the Vipers a little bit more. He hasn't actually gotten that enhanced ballistics, right?
No, he doesn't have it yet. He doesn't have it yet. But right now we have a bunch of Hell Muffins being made. Those Swarm Hosts are going to be coming across the map shortly here. Very excited about this.
Well, servers on the way as well to help with the transformation. Now, what is the transition? You know, we were talking in the last game about how Impact kind of stayed on the same comp for just forever.
Yeah.
I think we've seen a Hydra Viper for just a million years. So I guess Swarm Host coming in is going to mix things up, but is that just for
like
the hashtag value?
You want Broodlords eventually.
Okay.
And I don't think it would be terrible to... obviously, the Swarm Hosts I've been wanting to see for a bit. So
there's some blinding clouds. I just ducked on the tanks in the back.
Not sure about that engage. Like, it was great blinding clouds, but you really lost a lot of Hydras there. But yeah, I think the Storm Hosts are kind of cool to be seeing mixed in here. Obviously, that's not really a finishing unit, and I think that you're supposed to get them a little bit earlier than he got them, so I'm not entirely sure what those are going to do. Obviously, Ultras are not the thing to go here. So yeah, I think Broodlords a bit later on is probably what you want.
I think we're starting to see Fantasy eke out little advantage by little. He's in a position where, I mean, there's a pause button. Leenock has to wait for those Locusts to come out, and I mean, it's going to push Fantasy back, but only for a little while.
Well, Fantasy killed the base and actually got out of there,
Yeah.
so that launch may be a little bit premature, a little bit of a mistake.
Okay, well, those tanks don't need to be there, but
Good picks.
Yeah, take those Vipers out. I mean, those Vipers are hard to replace. Completing advanced ballistics is going to make these Liberators even more effective, and as I highlighted earlier.
I would love to see units lost tab right now.
Oh, God, it's not going to be.
Dude, this army that he's running around with, have you seen anyone play mech like this?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay, okay. Because, like, I haven't watched every single game from WCS Winter or anything yet, but this is, like, so novel to me right now, the way he's playing this.
Well,
so
people
cool.
are playing like this in WCS Winter. I missed those games, but this is super sick to see from Fantasy. Because I think for a while, people are still going to think that, oh, he's just now coming back, even though he's been back, I think, since last summer.
Yeah, but, well, now he's actually back.
Right,
like, there's this period where you're playing again and you're not up to par. But it's like he's pretty up to par.
I mean, he came to play today. The GSL is a very hard tournament. He is showing up. I think actually with this advanced ballistics, like, what do you do?
It's pretty tough. You gotta really be active with your units here and picking off as much as you can. And the thing is, he's picking off so many. The amount of abducts that we've seen past this game is more than I have ever seen in any game, I think.
And Leenock has to pull all the way back. It's like the theme song to Seventh Heaven. Where can you go? The world don't treat you right. The answer is home. So he's going back home. Because you like that show as much as I do.
All right.
So now that he's back home, like, what do you do after you're getting sieged down by ranged Liberators everywhere? There's just no answer.
Fantasy's just looking monstrous,
What a
man.
boss.
And look at this. The unit composition is wonky right now for Leenock. Like, he's got these Swarm Hosts, but that doesn't help against the Liberators at all.
No, I mean, the Liberators totally reign supreme. There's no anti-air in the air. There's no, like, mutas or corruptors or nothing. I mean, Fantasy just hit the unit that was least countered by Leenock's army. GG.
Wow.
Damn.
What a sick game. Okay, well, here's the thing. I mean, obviously these guys practice on the ladder and stuff, so maybe he's seen this style of mech before, Leenock, maybe not. I feel like, let's call this the first time he's played against that, okay? I think that he rolled with it really well and came up on the fly based on what tech he already had with a reasonable way to fight against it, and I think he did reasonably with that, but there were some moments where Fantasy was doing things like Blue Flame Hellion harassment, killed so many drones. Moments like that really are going to set the Zerg back. It's kind of keeping him on this tech a little bit longer. He added the Storm Host very late. I don't feel like those paid for themselves, really. Like, maybe technically they did, but for when they were made and the amount of supply and all this stuff, I don't think that those nailed it.
No, you're right. While the ranged Liberators that Fantasy added on totally killed it.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
At first I was thinking, well, the amount of abducts and Hydras we have, maybe this won't work out, but it comboed well with everything he had. Like, that, I have chills right now because that was truly an awesome game between these two.
Oh, the idea that Artosis gets to watch Fantasy kill it in the modern era.
Oh man, you just don't even know.
Oh, it's so good. And truly, Fantasy is living up to his name, because I think this is a fantasy for a lot of old school StarCraft watchers. You don't get better than this. Fantasy is going into game number 2, up 1-0 over Leenock. We'll see if we can close it out and get into our next game.
게임이 시작됩니다. 사이버 포레스트 게임 준비 완료.
All right, down here in the bottom right-hand corner in the blue, this is
Player 1 판타지.
All right, there we go. Getting the crowd kind of riled up.
Oh, he looks so good that game.
Also, just in general, very handsome man. Leenock, of course, handsome as well, but in that sort of who was the GSL player that got his hair dyed like a tomato?
Tails.
MVP Tails. What a legend. Leenock's kind of got a little bit of that going on.
What a legend.
Well, you know, maybe infamous instead of famous, but
yeah, famous is fine. Just legend in gaming, we normally hold over for the greatest players, of which Tails was not one.
Hey man, Roro won that legendary GSL, man. He's a legend too.
Don't you ever trash talk Roro. You kidding me? In the era of 2-hatch Zergs, all being pro gamers, if you decided to only build 2 hatches and work on Mutamicro, you were a pro gamer in StarCraft 1, that man would make 3 hatches, okay? He's a hero. He won his GSL, which is all he was looking for, and then he went away, and that's fine.
He's living on a mountaintop with that GSL trophy in the cave back home. He's like, I did it. That's all I was here for.
That's all he needed.
Yeah.
Literal God Roro. So,
I knew you were going to do that.
Yeah.
I saw it coming a mile away. Can't pull the wool over my eyes.
Didn't know.
I've got all the bad jokes already thought up in my head.
Damn, you're good. I'm just excited to see that type of mech again, and I think he will do it again, and I think Leenock will have a better plan this time now that he's played it in such a serious match right here. I think he's going to have a much better idea of how to deal with it.
Actually, you know Artosis, back in Brood War, and I'm sorry I keep referencing that, but Fantasy's legend just continues. You know, there was the Fantasy build, right? One of the few players to actually have a lot of like really hallmark kind of styles named after him. He would do things like add in Valkyries to comps where most people were just playing Science Vessel. He was definitely one of the mech pioneers, and I mean, I don't want to like preemptively kind of name that after him. He executed it super sick. I want to see if either he plays it again and can still execute in the face of Leenock's innovation, or come up with something else that he can execute equally as well to impress us further.
Yeah. No, I just want to see that exact same thing again, if possible.
It looks sexy.
We are seeing a different build this time. Instead of the very fast third command, we are seeing that starport come up. So it's different from last game for the opener. That doesn't mean it won't end up in the same place. Yeah.
Okay, third hatch is on the way, uninterrupted by that Reaper. So somewhere, Impact is scribbling away on a notepad how to not get your third hatch canceled by that.
Oh yeah, I wanted to bring something up as well, which is really cool to kind of show the level of respect that he still has within StarCraft 1. One of the best Terran players in the world in StarCraft 1 right now, a former teammate of his, actually uses his ID on the StarCraft 1 ladder and is in top 10.
Really?
JYJ. Uses SKT1 Fantasy.
Oh my god, that's so badass.
Yeah, that's...
Imitation is truly the highest form of flattery.
I think so. Or you're trying to trash their name.
Oh, like my name is Media parentheses Artosis.
Yeah,
I'm at 200 ELO.
Okay, so he's actually... Oh, okay. So what we're seeing here, he's getting the concussive shells, and he's making an armory. So this is just a concussive shell. Like, the concussive shells basically just slow queens and roaches down enough that the Hellbats kill them. Because straight up next to each other, the Hellbats kill basically everything. It's just you can kite them because they have such short range.
There's 3 spores on the way right now, and I mean, I would identify that with something very different than the build that Fantasy's going for.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe he thinks that there's going to be Banshees or something, but also, I should mention, you can use that to push back medevacs.
Okay, that's true.
As well. So they won't be completely useless,
Well, usually their positioning would illustrate that. They're all the way back in the mineral line, not up forward to stop the medevacs. But look at this. Landed the Viking even still.
Yeah.
This is looking good, Artosis.
Yeah, he picked off the medevac immediately, so that was nice. He has this ridiculous surround. I actually think he just holds. Like,
Yeah, he also
it looks scary, but I think he's going to just nail it before it really gets his drones.
Yeah, and if you want to rewind to the last group, or the previous group of GSL, that's what this push looked like when it dominated. I think Maru might have done that push. But this is, I mean, still not that bad. I mean, he killed 8 drones and took out a few queens there, but yeah, definitely not as effective as he wanted.
From this position, I really like Leenock, though. Yeah, you got 8 drones, and it looks like their units lost and all that is pretty similar to each other. But I think that he dealt with it well enough. And now that he's on 3 base, the 3rd command center just starting for Fantasy. Fantasy doesn't have any recourse for damage, right? He can't even really harass or do much of anything here.
Yeah, he's got a bunker.
Yeah, look at that. He sends in his last 2 Hellions that kill a drone.
Oh, I don't think he can repair that in time. Yeah, nice pick off on the depot. A lot of pressure there. Siege tanks to just barely hold. Ooh. Oh, he gets the queen.
Yeah, that was nice. That was a perfect timing to do that as well. Fantasy, always a king of multitasking.
Oh, well, okay, well, he does just kind of scare that base off a little bit. He's going to get another queen? No way!
I love it. I love it. Picking off these queens is actually a really big deal.
Well, that's just a straight up skill test. It's like, can you micromanage your queens while I'm harassing your base? The answer's no. So he's coming out ahead in just little tiny ways while he has that big vulnerability of 0 units.
Yeah. But again, you know, the initial push didn't really do it. He's not ready to be out on the map. We've already seen multiple siege tanks created.
Right.
Look at this infestation pit. I think this time it is going to be for infestors.
Yes.
I mean, not infestors, sorry. Swarm hosts. They should call it a swarm host pit, really.
I mean, yes. The infestors have seen better days, for sure.
So a lot of factories being added right now. Let's see, does he do it? Come on, swarm hosts. This is the perfect time for it. It's a slow mech opener.
Yeah. And he's already set so far behind that you have the breath of fresh air to add them without having to be pressured to use them in a way you don't want to.
Oh, that's funny. He was double building armories because he was just like on his build path, and then you realize, oh yeah, I made one early for the Hellbats. Okay, no swarm hosts as of yet. He's getting a full scout off on what's going on.
Yeah.
He's making some Ravagers. Okay. Not sure how I feel about the Ravagers exactly, but again, if he makes a bunch of swarm hosts, I feel like that is, in this case, I think he was probably right last game not to make him right off the bat when I was kind of saying I was excited for it. But I think this time it's perfect.
Here comes that other kind of hallmark of that last build that Fantasy was doing, just really solid Hellion harass. I mean, I guess they don't have Blue Flame, but they're still getting damage done.
So he'll clean those ones up at least. And he is building 10 swarm hosts. Okay, there we go.
Right.
This is, I think that this is a great situation. Now the battle mech units are coming out, but they're a little bit late. He's got Roach Ling Ravager, so he can kind of push it back a little bit. And look at this, he's got all this high ground around the 3rd base.
Yeah, and he's gonna hit before the battle mech is really, you know, coming into its own. A decent hold here, but I love that Leenock has now kind of flipped the script, and now he's the one getting out on the map and getting all this harassment done. Another queen picked off?
Yeah, he's been doing that just so fantastically.
Yeah.
Might need another spore up here, I don't know. But yeah, this is, I love this. I think that positionally speaking as well.
Oh, that's not where you want your Hellmuffins. Forces a drop, picks off a couple, backs off without losing really any units.
Yeah, that was awesome by Fantasy. You can see that his multitasking, so far at least this game, seems to be better than Leenock's. But the fact that he's abusing these high ground locations where the lock-ons are just not as strong, and look at this, where he's sending his other units. Oh, like he can launch them over the rocks and everything.
No. Beautiful pickoff here. He's going to get another couple of swarm hosts. Loses nothing?
Yeah, Fantasy is doing a great job of recovering from the kind of botched Hellbat Marauder push. And he's even floating his racks so he can, you see that float racks? That's amazing. So he can see everything coming and lock on and everything. Love it.
Continuing to lock on to these expensive gas-heavy units. I mean, there's reinforcements being made in the background, but that's not what you want to do at this point.
A little bit of a flank going on right now. Roach is coming from behind. A lot of Ravagers are falling, unfortunately. And the Swarm Host, every Swarm Host launch so far has been defensive for the Swarm Host, and he's lost half of them.
Yeah, and losing Swarm Hosts is terrible because you never want to remake Swarm Hosts. Dude, they're supposed to sit there and gain value over time. Yeah. If you remake them after like 1 or 2 Locust launches, it's like, well...
And the Locust launches haven't done any damage.
Like, yeah, what are you doing? Like, you're not killing anything there. And look at these Cyclones. Like, this is quietly such a sick illustration of Fantasy's skill. The Cyclone usage, so active, so much value. I don't know, I'm just loving every part of this style for Fantasy.
Yeah, this is, it's so refreshing and cool here.
You can't keep
Gumiho,
getting
watch
away
out,
with
he's
it.
coming for your mantle.
Dude, he is. He's really executing this better than, I mean, any other Terran I've seen in GSL.
Well, it's a very different style from the other mechs that we've seen. Now, there's a lot of Swarm Hosts here.
Still continuing to pick off a couple each time. This is, yeah, the Locusts are out. They're going to get on top of Siege tanks. This is what they're made for.
Yeah, he's definitely doing more this time. But great unit movements here from Fantasy as well. Like coming around, picking off what he can.
Yeah, forces a lift on the 4th. It's going to force a response here. Now, there is a lot of lock-ons here, so if he can continue to control this well, does have the scan to maintain high ground vision, keep that lock-on going. I think he actually will be able to clean everything up here and retake that 4th base, but I mean, finally, Leenock, you know, this is the Empire Leenock striking back.
Yeah, Leenock's still in fine shape here. Like, he's got 5 bases right now. Fantasy's attempting to take this base, and the Swarm Host should start getting, excuse me, a little bit more damage done now.
It's also not a planetary at the 3rd, or I guess that was just a bonus command center. So it's going to mean that, oh, he's actually locking on punishing the Swarm Hosts again.
I love the consistent scanning here. And just even the fact that well, I mean, I guess on your 3rd base you never have a planetary, but I wonder, yeah, it was a command center over at the 4th. I wonder if he's going to go planetary there or not.
Well, yeah, I don't know how worried he is about the Swarm Host. Obviously, that's a great way of sort of stopping the Locust from being super effective, but I think he's dealing with the Swarm Host like pretty well at this point. Look at how many roaches he's going to kill with this.
Well, it looks like Leenock is going to transition into Hydras now. Okay. I think he does need the Vipers as well. He is on Hive Tech, so he can get them. But this is starting to add up, the amount of damage that's being done. Leenock is still close to max. He's ahead in a lot of ways.
Yeah, he is getting that planetary, but it's not done in time. Forces a cancel on the lift.
Well, that's good damage.
Damn, yeah.
For sure. Even just slowing down the planetary can be useful as well.
I mean, Fantasy is not TY. Like, that is a big chunk of workers just not there anymore. So, forces the lift and the cancel on the planetary as well, so he's going to have to get back to that.
Yeah, a couple Liberators going around. Looks like he wants to get a little bit more harassment done there. Leenock opening the map up a little bit more. His creep spread is not fantastic. I wish it was a little bit better. I guess it has been pushed back a couple times by Fantasy, though.
Yeah. A lot of scans on there. Now, I don't think he wants to fight straight up here. Hydra DPS is still pretty crazy.
For this style he's using, I feel like he wants to open the rocks.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I always feel like players that break down rocks are on the wrong side of the ones who should be breaking it down. Oh my god, picks off so many more Swarm Hosts.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
He wants another lock on. Yeah, there he is. Going to get it. The Liberator play consistently transcendent here. Honestly, that's the thing that Leenock never had an answer to in Game 1. So, I mean, he's either got it or he doesn't here.
Yeah, well, it's funny, too, because the Liberator he's been using in 2 very distinct ways so far in these games. Like, in the previous one, he used it as help for some defense into a finishing attack. Here, he's just been harassing non-stop Liberators, and he's really gotten serious damage done.
Using the mobility of these Macfield accelerated Cyclones is just... they're just everywhere you want to be. Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh. All right, well, I mean... Sometimes he gets stuff, yeah.
Look at those Locusts. They're just sitting still right outside of vision of the command center.
And look, Fantasy actually has foregone planetaries, which I actually think is all right against this, right? Because then if the Locusts come, you can lift them off instead of lose them. But enough Locusts come, your planetary could be in trouble. But anyways, continuing to run around.
Goodbye to that hatchery.
God, it's so quick.
Yeah, it's so unreal. Macfield Accelerator, the way they changed the Cyclone, it is a drastically different unit, but I think it's just so strong at that. The hit and run Fantasy is doing
Well,
is
this
running
is-
Leenock ragged.
Before, the Cyclone was just like a skill tester unit. It's like, hey, do you have enough to stop this? And you say yes or no. Here, we're actually seeing someone utilize a huge amount of skill with these Cyclones. The movements he's doing, and he is microing with them. I know that the micro is just kind of lock on and run away, but you know, there's just kind of more to it.
Well, as a very wise man said, with more skill comes more GG as well. So we're seeing quite a few of those from Leenock. I think Fantasy is just giving the G'est of G's for us here today.
Well, look at these Hydras just marauding through and killing so much right now. Yeah, another command center should end up falling.
That is actually huge. I mean, to be fair, I think he killed almost every single swarm host, so those continue to not be the answer for Leenock.
Yeah, he dealt with the Swarm hosts really surprisingly well. Like, he didn't have enough, I guess, defending them each time he was moving them around.
Dude, this is such a slugfest.
Yeah.
I love it. Honestly, like, this is the exciting way to play StarCraft right here. I don't know if it's like the double quotes best, but I mean, Fantasy's making it look pretty good. And Leenock with those command center pickoffs, I love it.
Well, Leenock gets himself right back in the game with that. He wasn't maxed finally after a long time. And now he's got his big swarm of Vipers, and I think he's done a good amount of damage here to Fantasy. So he might be able to end up snowballing this. It's not like Fantasy has some big bank and a ton of economy.
That is certainly true. He's going to really have to work to get those next two bases up. He's got a command center headed up right now. He's back at it again, Artosis. The Liberators picking off so many drones.
Just non-stop.
What? Okay, that guaranteed
Just
fired
non-stop.
outside that ring.
This is crazy how well he's been doing with this.
Okay, gotta
we need those up dogs.
Yeah, gotta be careful here. The siege tanks also really paying for themselves on the high ground. The lock-ons get that bonus damage. Okay, well.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's a cleanup.
All right, so a big dent in the army, a 30 army supply advantage there, but look, he's continuing to deny mining. Okay, if that gets picked up, that's a big one.
Yeah, another command center. Looks like it might fall.
Repair, mass repair.
Oh, he's going to save it.
Sickest save right there, but I think maybe go back in for it.
I don't think so. With the siege tanks, he's getting low on Hydras here.
Okay.
I think he needs to back up, get more Hydras, come back.
He's got a lot of yoinks, man.
Yeah. Doesn't matter how many yoinks now when you got 3 Hydras left over.
Okay, all right.
Yanking a siege tank, it's going to kill everything
No, but
you
look
got
at
left.
that. He's okay. That's Swarm Hose. I don't know, but he's continuing this Hydra harass. He's gonna pick up another command. Oh, mass repair, mass repair, mass repair. It's so close. Oh my God, no way he's gonna save it. Are you kidding me? No.
You can't be serious.
It's too good. Is Fantasy back, Artosis?
I can't believe that he saved both those commands. Like, I mean, if the wind was blowing a different way this morning, both those commands would have died.
It's that solid Terran engineering.
Man, the butterfly effect is real in this game. Cannot believe both of them. Like, if one of them lives, I'm like, all right, cool. Both? Oh my God, poor Leenock here. I mean, has Fantasy done it? There's still a lot of Vipers here, so if he's methodical, maybe he can clear this up and get moving again. Look at how many Vipers he has.
He's soon to get 14 drones.
They're non-stop, these Liberators, bringing freedom to so many bases.
Kills on that one. There's just no recourse. And honestly, it continues to be the question that Leenock has not been able to answer. He's found a way to deal with the battle mech, but he can't stop the Liberators.
Man, he's not yanking all the siege tanks quite quickly enough.
Yeah.
The Blue Flame Hellions get free kills every time he targets.
That's it, GG Fantasy.
Wow.
Eliminating Leenock.
Yeah, I can't believe Leenock got last place in the group. You can see the look on his face. This is the look of disappointment. Leenock is a fantastic player. He looked just balls to the wall crazy last season. I think he looks very good right now, but unfortunately, this was not his day. This group is out of control strong as well.
My heart is winning over my head, Artosis. I wanted Fantasy to have a good showing. I never dreamed it would be this good, this iconic. It's just such amazing play.
I'm very excited to see what Impact brings against Fantasy, because I think he's going to bring a much more aggressive style, maybe try to end this more quickly. Is that going to work? Does Fantasy know how to block all those things with this style?
That's a big question. We're going to answer that coming up when we get into our last match of the night. It's Impact versus Fantasy to advance on to the next round of the GSL Code S.
Hey boy, look, I'm gonna make this simple for you. You got two choices, yes or yes. 둘 중에 하나만 골라 yes or yes. 하나만 선택했어 yes or yes. 내가 이렇게도 이기적이었던가 뭔가 이렇게 갖고 싶던 적 있었나 다 놀라 내 뻔뻔함에 Come on and tell me yes. 생각보다 꽉감해진 나의 시나리오 이전도 플랜이면 완벽해 만족해 I don't care 누가 뭐래도 You better tell me yes. 내 맘은 정했어 yes. 그럼 이제 네 대답을 들을 차례 힘들면 포기를 줄게 넌 고르기만 해 고민할 필요도 없게 해줄게 뭘 고를지 몰라 준비해봤어 둘 중에 하나만 골라 yes or yes. 네 마음을 몰라 준비해봤어 하나만 선택했어 yes or yes. 싫어는 싫어 너 아니면 우리 선택을 존중해 거절은 거절해 선택지는 하나 자 선택은 네 맘 It's all up to you. 둘 중에 하나만 골라 yes or yes. 진심일까 눈앞에 진심이니 눈앞에 애매한 자음알들 확실히 위아래로 There's no letters and no 지워버릴래 오늘부로 복잡하게 고민할 필요 없어 정답은 yes yes yo. 어떤 이기심도 자극하는 너의 눈과 널 향한 호기심이 만나서 타올라 떠오른다 My heart boom boom boom. You better hurry up. 조금씩 개발하자면 넌 뭘 골라도 날 만나게 될 거야 너 좋아하긴 해도 억지라고 해도 절대 후회하지 않게 해줄게 뭘 고를지 몰라 준비해봤어 둘 중에 하나만 골라 yes or yes. 네 마음을 몰라 준비해봤어 하나만 선택했어 yes or yes. 싫어는 싫어 나 아니면 우리 선택을 존중해 거절은 거절해 선택지는 하나 자 선택은 네 맘 It's all up to you. 하나만 선택했어 yes or yes.
맞이하고 보내준 수많은 1년 중 그대 내게 떠났던 그 해가 있었죠 어디에 있을까 잘 지내지나요 아팠던 건 잘 보내줬나요 날 떠나겠다는 말 참 힘들었어요 사랑한단 말도 그대가 했기에 거기서 떠나요 나도 잘 떠났으니 이제야 그댈 이해하네요 사랑 누구나 하나는 어디 하라는 이야기 시작의 이유도 헤어짐의 이유도 그땐 모르기에 그저 치열한 날들 우린 어떤 사랑을 했었나요 그 가슴에 가지 말라는 말 왜 안 했겠어요 혹시 싫어할까 가슴에 남긴 말 그대는 그날로 나를 지워갔겠죠 이제야 그댈 보고 싶은데 사랑 누구나 하나는 어디에란 이야기 숨마저 못 쉬던 걸을 수조차 없던 이별이 기다려 모두 가져간 날들 우린 어떤 이유가 있었나요 떠나던 날 익숙함을 핑계 삼아야 했던 그날이 이제는 그리워질 텐데 말을 못해서 표현 못해서 그댈 단 하루라도 사랑하지 않은 적이 없단 걸 사랑 누구나 하늘은 어디에란 이야기 시작의 이유도 헤어짐의 이유도 그땐 모르기에 그저 치열한 날들 우린 어떤 사랑을 했었나요 사랑 누구나 하늘은 어디에란 이야기 숨마저 못 쉬던 걸을 수조차 없던 이별이 기다려 모두 가져간 날들 우린 어떤 이유가 있었나요 떠나던 날
Doing it! MMA! He is back! He's getting GG! Ladies and gentlemen, Liquid Tasia! Ready to roll, ready or not, ready to give it all I've got. Gotta make me give me something to believe in. Ready to roll.
마운틴 듀 GSL 시즌 1 리제너레이션
We are light
Wow, a lot of 2-0s today. It almost doesn't even feel that way, but I guess it is true, isn't it?
Well, especially that Fantasy Leenock series was so close and back and forth. Fantasy playing this really cool new style, and I mean, it might say 2-0, but that truly does not tell the true story.
Yes. Well, Fantasy now going up against Impact. Impact obviously got to see all Leenock tried and the type of style that Fantasy really wants to bring. So does he go with the flow? Does he know a counter? Or does he T-bone this strategy?
Well, I mean, we saw in that game too that it does take a while for this battle mech style that Fantasy is playing to get its feet off the ground. And if the Impact has a strat that hits before that, I don't know. I mean, Fantasy did try a lot versus TY and just got totally shut down. So if Impact can hold off that, I think he'll be in a good spot.
All right, Kairos Junction going to be our first map. Let's get into it and see who's going to advance to the round of 16.
마운틴듀 GSL 시즌1 리제너레이션 게임이 시작됩니다. 하이로스 정션 게임 준비 완료.
All right, down to the bottom right in the blue is our Zerg player.
Impact.
And in the upper right in the red, our Terran player.
Player 1 판타지.
I wonder if he is also ready.
Certainly.
I feel like if you're on team player 1, then by necessity, you would also have to be ready.
The game doesn't start till you're ready. But player 2 sometimes could be not ready because player 1's controller controls everything.
Ah.
Now, this is a pool first.
Ooh. Is that perhaps... I guess it's not the fastest hash rate you could build.
No. Because he went pool first.
Yes.
But the pool first, if I had to guess here, I think that the plan of Impact is to do that thing where you run around the Reaper path, and then the Reaper comes to your base, and then suddenly Lings show up and can mess with the CC that's building.
Now, how hard is he going to go into this? Is gas already on the way? So that was pool hatch gas.
Yeah, no, it's pretty much a macro build aside from this. You run the Zerglings around, and that's that. That's what you're doing.
That's cool to see their record. I guess they did actually play against each other. It's hard.
Oh, what was the record? I didn't see
it. It was 1-2 Fantasy, I believe. Okay. Well, I forget who was on which side. But the idea is that they have played before. I guess it was just one series. It's hard for me to remember the previous era of Fantasy.
It did exist. He played in GSL and stuff.
Yeah, it absolutely did. He did make it to... He had some okay results. I think he did pretty well in some of the international tournaments he went to, but... Certainly nothing like his previous accomplishments. And yeah, he's doing exactly what you said, Artosis.
Yeah, so Fantasy actually made a Marine as opposed to, another add-on. And the second he saw that hatchery was not complete, he turned around the Reaper, so that'll be here in a second. So Fantasy holds this immaculately.
Yeah, only 2 SCVs lost. You could actually have chosen to save the Zerglings, but instead he was going for SCV kills, and he didn't get hardly any.
Yeah, this went very well for Fantasy. I think it was a fine idea, because if Fantasy makes any misstep there, a lot of people would, make like Reactor after the Reaper or something like that. Actually, I think nowadays you see the Marine reasonable amount, but either way, there's a lot of ways you can get lucky with that build.
No, I love the skill test style. It's like, look, can you hold on in this complicated situation? This is the WarioWare of StarCraft 2. It's like, well, how many of these mini games can you play and beat successfully?
WarioWare.
You ever play WarioWare?
No.
It's like
sounds like
Mario Party. Yeah, a little bit, but way more fun and less anger-inducing. I suck at Mario Party, man. I've never won a game of Mario Party ever.
Oh, I'm a king.
Oh God,
we should play sometime.
Absolutely not.
Farm
I won't play Mario Party. I won't play Mario Kart. Those are like Monopoly tier games for me. They just ruin all of my relationships.
Oh my gosh. Well, third command center on the way and Stim on the way. So, Fantasy saying I can play more than one style.
I mean, we'll see. Honestly, I just want to see him. I want to put him in a jail cell and force him to play that previous style over and over again until I'm happy, because it is just so beautiful to watch him do that very well. But I think we got to get to flesh things out a little bit here. It's like, okay, well,
now we can kind of figure out like what does his bio play look like if he's not a one-hit wonder with strategies or builds. Like, it's good to see people have that range. And, it can be a little bit hard to figure out that that's going on. Now, Impact, obviously he gets way more practice against just regular bio play than the weird thing Fantasy did. So.
Fantasy Hellions, man, they're just so good. He's continuing to get a lot of damage done. Let's see if he gets any more off of this. Catches the return. 2 more.
8 kills.
4 Hellions.
Yeah, not bad. He loses his Reaper too, but not bad. Won't have map control for a little bit, but Stim's going to finish up, so he can just start to go across the map anyways.
Oh, here we go. doesn't look like Impact wants to let that happen.
Well, I mean, this is not really...
What
Why
is
is that
that
drone
guy?
coming? I have no idea.
The advanced guard from another world.
The roaches aren't even going to do anything. Stim's done, and 2 medevacs are going to be done.
So what is this timing we're supposed to hit here?
I don't think it is one. I think he's just like showing them. It's like, hey, look at me. I have roaches.
All right. Explorer drones return successful. Lives to tell the tale. I've seen things.
Okay. So the couple medevacs coming out with just a few roaches out. Not going to be the easiest thing to deflect this. Evos and eBays are pretty close on build time, so that's good. We've been seeing a lot of Zergs be behind on upgrades in GSL so far.
You know what I guess that was is like another little tiny stress test. It's like maybe you have your tank a little bit slow or out of position. You can like take a depot or something, but you do still have to not die to things like this.
Wow, good targeting.
Wow.
Picking off Queens and Ravagers, not
Those
bad.
are expensive. Also, he loses nothing. So
maybe a Marine or two.
Okay, well, okay, actually nothing. Marine lives do not matter, Artosis.
Yeah, that's quite true. Collectively they do, but singles, nah.
Wow. We just survived
Happy
Singles
Valentine's
Awareness Day.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Single
okay.
Marines don't matter.
It's okay. You and Tasteless took me on a nice date, so I wasn't super single there.
Yeah.
There's actually a size of bed in Korea. There's single, and then between single and twin, there's a size called super single. And I'm just like, well, I guess that's the bed you get if you're not having a good
I'm confused.
Valentine's
Is
Day.
it just like in case you roll around in bed or something?
It's like a slightly bigger size.
Okay.
So, cool. I was just like, I don't know if your naming convention works well with a prime demographic, but we'll take it. Either way, the point is the Fantasy is like actually still being very proactive. He's continuing to get out on the map, do little tiny pickups like this. He's not just sitting back and letting the player get away with tiny missteps.
Well, it seems like Impact might be going for that same Roach Ravager build that we saw before against TY. Yeah, see, he's got a drop lord and everything, so this is something he did previously. I mean, I wonder if Fantasy will be able to hold this like TY did.
Well, I think, let's see, TY held it because he scouted the first Dropper Lord and got kind of lucky there. And
Yeah,
then the second
he
one.
scouted that, and don't forget, like, he was pretty on top of everything that game. I mean, TY always is.
Yeah.
I guess we are about to see how Fantasy does against this.
Now, there's no missile turrets here, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
so
the
that
drop
Dropper
will
Lord.
be better.
Oh, he boosted a medevac into his main. Maybe that's. Oh, look at that.
Good catch.
Complete.
Well, he doesn't see it, but survey says.
Yeah, he knows because it flew over the mineral patches on the third.
Ah, get out. All right, well, here comes the big one. The big kahuna, the push on top of everything. The siege tanks on the low ground certainly dead, but that one on the high ground getting a lot of great shots off Artosis.
Certainly, he needs that vision. Okay, there we go. Throws down those vials, gets the siege tank on high ground, and gets all the siege tanks really so far. Throwing down some more vials. Oh, actually hitting and taking out a medevac with vials. Very nice.
Yeah, can't afford to take too many losses here, but just resetting the tank count has to be a little bit of a win.
Definitely it is. This is starting much better than it did against TY. TY kept a lot of siege tanks alive for a very, very, very long time, and they were placed brilliantly. Like, for instance, that's a good placement on a siege tank, but... Oh, I don't know.
What are those guys doing?
Oh, he's flying them over. Okay, so he's going to give up this third base. This is a good choice by Fantasy, and I like that he's going to go counter-harass because he realizes that this is like a losing battle. He'll take too much damage.
Oh, look at this. Oh, yeah. God. All right, so that's really cool. He's going to slow the retreat.
Yeah, he caught some reinforcements there. He's forcing these units back to chase him a little bit, and that buys Fantasy more time as well. In the meantime, there's actually a transition occurring here for Impact. He felt like he had to stay on it, which I don't think he was wrong about because he did so little damage to TY.
Yeah.
Here, he didn't really hurt Fantasy's economy very much, but he definitely picked off some very key units. So he's continuing his upgrades. He's redroning, Spire, Baneling Nest, all important stuff.
Okay, and it's important to notice that, you know, Impact got a chance to watch Fantasy's dismantling of Leenock. He's got to look at that and be like, okay, well, you know, at least maybe I know what I could have done better in those situations. But now Fantasy's pulling out a whole new style here. And I love that Impact is such a good player, maybe a little bit underrated, because he is reacting to this super well. holding it off. I don't know. What would you say, Artosis? Obviously, there's been a little bit of damage done on either side, but it feels like Impact is reacting correctly to everything.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, he did take some extra damage from the Hellions early on. There was no reason that should have done as much damage as it did. He was kind of out of position. I think what I like here is he dictated the game heavily with his build order, which Zerg doesn't get to do too often. Okay. Like, a lot of times Zerg has to be a bit more reactive. No. He hits himself as much as Medvex. But I like that he looked at the amount of tanks he killed, the type of damage he did, and then he transitioned. That's what I like about Impact's game this game.
Both players just really knowing when to pull back. For Fantasy, he knew to kind of give up that base and boost out onto the map to try to intercept some reinforcements, maybe get some harassment done. Both players seem to have a really good kind of picture about where this game actually is.
The burrowed Ling is beautiful. That is so annoying for Terran to have to go over there with units and scan.
Nice way to pick off all the Banelings. One getting a little bit close. He stims out of range of that. He's not actually killing the Baneling, but he outruns everything else.
All right, now 3-3 on the way for Fantasy. Drilling Claws as well. Both sides getting lots of upgrades. Infestation Pit is going to be finishing shortly here, so certainly we will be seeing the Hive on the way.
Continuing to micro to get just every tiny little advantage. He has a ton of bio in the middle of the map. I don't know about these mutas, Artosis. I mean, he's mixed them in. Maybe they pick off some medevacs, but maybe they also just die.
Well, if he can force the lift off, I guess that's what he's really going for. Wow, he hits his own Banelings with biles. Yeah, the muta flank didn't make any sense unless Fantasy was going to pick up, and we're not on creep, so it doesn't seem like he can really be forced.
I think Impact thought that he was going to punk Fantasy a little bit, be like, hey, I'm big and scary, lift up and run away, and then catch him with the mutas. But
yeah, maybe.
Fantasy knew. He knows.
Definitely a smart player here. He's getting some great micro down. And look at that, picking off that 6th base, so that's nice.
Yeah, exactly where he's supposed to be, when he needs to be there. Yeah, these mutas are just like not really, I guess, accomplished what they were going for. Now, there's a Thor out back here to defend a couple of them in siege tanks, but Roach is finding the one vulnerability. The Achilles heel in Fantasy's defense.
Yeah, this is him actually trading supply as best he can.
Yeah.
Like, look at that. Look what he's focusing down. He's going to force some scans and stuff. It's actually a really cool move. He just doesn't want roaches anymore.
Baneling. I didn't even see that. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
I thought that was
very
funny.
nice. No, that was... But yeah, I like what Impact is doing here. It's a full transition. Like, he'll keep the Ravagers because they're just kind of always useful. But definitely the Roaches just lose efficacy over time. And to get rid of them so he can fit more Lingbane Muta while he goes up to Hive, I really quite like. And if he goes into... Oh, that's a nice pickoff.
Yeah, this is those mutas doing what they were meant to do.
Yeah, no, this is crazy. But if he goes right into Ultras while getting Adrenal in his 3-3, that's amazing. Like, I really like how he's playing it.
It also seems like he's finally gotten a feel for, like, okay, what are these mutas supposed to do? He's gonna, I guess he doesn't Magic Box over the Thor, but 6th save! Keeps the Thor alive for another day while his brother Thor is gonna go down on the other side. It looks like he's starting to clean up the muta count, but both Thors are down and really is so much else of his army. The supply plummeting, 42 to 90s.
Impact just smashing through this right now. This is just about game. Like, Fantasy does not have any chance at this point, I would say.
No, he does not. Losing so many SCVs. He was never able to get beyond really that 3rd base. And I mean, now Impact just running away with it. Gonna take out another one.
Down that command center goes. Great job here by Impact.
Rip those SCVs.
Yeah, Fantasy has so little left at this point. His income is dried up to almost nothing. Seems like he wants to stay, maybe because he killed enough hatcheries that he feels like he should still fight it out.
I mean, this is maybe getting towards a Fantasy GG. He's, I guess, being optimistic here. Oh, I forgot the Mind Stealth again when we researched that. Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, he just has nothing.
He has so little.
Ooh!
Some great mine hits, for sure.
I mean, maybe there's... No, okay, there's actually nothing. Wow, gets the last second hit off onto those mutas.
Get that one Swarm Host again. I really do wonder how this always happens.
It is actually a really common mistake.
I feel like it's a meme that I've just missed. So servers are just like, yeah, you just make the one Stormhost when you got the game.
What is that? Like, I get. No, I don't get it. That's just actually weird.
Once upon a time, Stormhosts were not used at all, so maybe it comes from that. Anyways, whatever. Impact wins that game. Now, this is the moment of truth. Does Fantasy, having lost, pretty one-sidedly there with Bioplay, does he go back into his version of Mech? When everything is on the line, when you are one game from elimination here, do you go back into that other style?
You got to put all your cards on the table. I mean, Fantasy knows he is one game away. I think for really surprising a lot of people. Honestly, he hasn't been in the GSL for a very long time. He did his military service and is coming back. And Impact, that entire time, has been crushing it, tons of improvement. And so for Fantasy, this is a big statement to make. It's not only can you advance out of your group, but can you come back after you've attempted something and failed with a style that seems to be the best thing you can offer.
Yeah, well, we don't know what's going on inside his head right now other than the fact he needs to win this next game. And this is a guy that will not fold under pressure. So we're going to see the best he has. Here we go.
Regeneration. 게임이 시작됩니다. 뉴 리파브넌시 게임 준비 완료.
Here we go. All right. This guy.
Yeah.
This guy.
This is a great thing to see that he's just a normal mortal like everyone else.
Dude, and in truth,
lose a game, double proxy your X.
Dude, didn't Maru do
Triple.
this as well? Well, he didn't lose a game, but he's just like he gets into the last series and it's like, here's how I'm gonna win. And he just goes and proxies it.
A lot of baller Terrans will do this, and a lot of bad Terrans do it too. It's just a Terran thing, Down a game, up a game, doesn't matter. Just use the triple. Well, this is triple, right? So it's a little bit different.
Well, our observer's showing us potential heartbreaks. That Overlord is not pathing towards the proxy rack's location. Second one, I think he's going to miss it as well.
It's kind of extra funny, too, because Impact did go pool first in the first game. But he did not this game. This is a hatchery first. Well, I'm excited. Against this 3 racks play, you can't save the hatchery. So pulling back is generally the way that you want to do it.
I was waiting to see that idle SCV if it built a 4th, because that's just when you're really going for it. But he will actually scout it, so this is
He
nice.
sees 2 of the barracks.
Okay. I think he might be able to tell from what comes out of them, obviously, what's going on.
Well, yeah, since there are 2 proxy barracks, he knows that this is a Marine rush, but he did not scout the 3rd, so he might think he has a better chance to hold this than he does.
Yes.
He's making the Roach Horn, so, okay, he's making the better choice here.
Yeah, I mean, you have only a few seconds in a lot of situations where you have to go with the right number, the right amount of stuff.
Yeah.
And if you misjudge that, that's a huge edge.
Oh, totally. The 3 drones kind of enforced no bunker on the high ground, which is something that could be scary. Now, how hard is Fantasy going to push this? He's getting 2 gases at home, which is cutting into his Marine production a little bit. I guess the one thing I got to say is he has to kill this hatchery. We saw a mistake like that from... Who was it? Trying to remember, having a hard time. Anyways, there was a Terran that was doing the 3x bunny over and over, right?
Ah,
in the game where he super committed on Solar and tried to kill him, that was the second time he did the 3 racks. That was the game where he got really far behind them, but then still won against the 1-1 Roach timing.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But yeah, it's basically, it's like if you go up the ramp, it gives them potential to save everything, but it gives you potential for the victory. If you don't go up the ramp, they live and the game goes on. But you get the hatch 100%. So it's just, that's what I was trying to talk about, and then I went on a trip down memory lane.
I mean, those games were truly the most memorable of GSL so far. So those are good memories to have. Oh, all right. Well, he did get the hatchery. Obviously, he's going to Ravager bust his way out of here, like, eventually. And I want to see if Fantasy knows when it's time to hold them and fold them and pick up and get out of here. Oh, what is that?
Oh, yeah, you don't want that to happen.
All right, so finally going to try to go for it. I don't know if I guess he's going to bust one bunker.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not the end.
No, but he can get it all. Like, just throwing the biles down, giving you that kind of extra bit of damage.
Oh, did he get the queen? Assassin SCVs! No, so close again. So far.
Good save.
2 HP.
Good save. He ended up making more Ravagers than I think he truly wanted. Guess it'll be all right. Already making those Marines at home.
Didn't actually wind up saving really anything, so I'm always like a little torn. It's like, well, do you leave before you've put on the maximum amount of pressure and save some stuff, or do you stay there, maybe pick off that 2 HP queen?
Well, he ended up doing enough for now. He does have the Overlord because we have actually siege tanks being made as opposed to Cyclones.
Oh. I was like 1 bile away from going down.
Don't want that to die. That's the one reason you can still do damage here.
Oh, I thought he was going to shove the Marines out of the bunker and try to go for it. Because you can go down that ramp a little bit and get a concave on it.
Yeah, that's kind of fair. Got to be careful. You start losing Marines. It's not a good place to be in. It's a stim again, by the way. Which, obviously, it's going to be harder to go into mech from a build like this.
Yeah.
So, can't really blame him. I think it comes down to the opening is more important than the actual overall strategy in a game like this.
Continuing to harass, but it looks like at least Impact knows when it's time to go home. Of course, not a lot of things you can do when Siege comes up, so.
Okay, I think the game will normalize a bit from here. Here's a question.
All right.
Does Impact go for a 1-1 timing again?
I would say yes. I feel like the consistent, the constant even, is him trying to play aggressively and hit like these testing timings. I felt like TY was given the answer key to the test he took earlier, but I think Fantasy is more of the kind of guy to just try really hard and hope he's smart enough. Ooh. Okay.
Well, only 1 Evo going down right now. Don't know if that's a mistake or he only wants 1.
I mean, he is droning behind us, so I'm not sure if he's... Oh, there's the second one.
Okay.
All right.
So you definitely want both the upgrades if you're going to do nothing but make those units for the next several minutes.
So what is Fantasy doing behind this? I mean, obviously, he's just going to get stim upgrades and try to, I guess, recover from here. Both players kind of in that position. I don't know, it's always hard for me to judge who came out ahead, because it is such a nebulous concept, that advantage. Just like that Mewtwo quote, it's not how you start off in life. It's what you do with what you're given.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
the time that you're given.
Okay. I didn't know that was a Mewtwo quote.
It is.
Is that from the movie?
It is by far the best part of the movie.
Oh yeah, when Mewtwo comes out, that's when the movie gets good.
Pokemon the movie 2000, the year the best Backstreet Boys album came out.
Is that the year the original movie came out?
Yeah, I believe so. Unless my childhood is just totally misremembered.
It's a good movie.
Here we go.
Yeah, here comes the 1-1 as well on those roaches, so it looks like it should be the same build. Ooh, a little bit of a mistake in the unload there.
Did he get it?
It's really
Yes.
costing him some damage too.
It is, but he does get that queen, so maybe revenge for leaving that previous queen only 1 HP. But he gets out. He only lost a couple of Marines.
For the time being, more drones being made right now. Impact wants to get up to very good saturation, so he can really pump out roaches. Fantasy continuing his upgrades, getting that 1-1. He does have his 3rd command already, but we haven't seen it land. I think he's actually floating it right this moment.
Okay, he's learned how to move his things out of the range of biles. Sick. They're learning. But here comes the 3rd base for Fantasy. I felt like, this is 1-1 finishing up for Impact, and I want to see if this is where he goes for it. He does have a few roaches in production, but it's not like that big swell of overlords for when you really want to pound that roach key.
He's got the drop overlord and everything, man. Like he is ready for it. It's exactly the same thing going to be coming up.
Well, once again, we get a chance to see if the player can learn how to beat the build to beat them. Leenock couldn't do it. Can Fantasy do it here to Impact?
Well, I'm not sure how many siege tanks he has. I'd love to see the setup of the third base. So that's going to be obviously the first place that gets hit. He sees that drop Overlord. He's seen a lot of Roaches and Ravagers.
Yeah, it won't be a mystery what's coming here.
No, I think not.
You don't need the double-brimmed detective hat to figure out this. Well, I didn't see any siege tanks when he showed us that last view of the base. So I'm still waiting to see how well defended the third is.
Yeah.
Oh, here's that big Roach swell.
Whoa.
No way! Galaxy Brain Fantasy. Oh my God, you did it! You did it!
Wow.
You did.
That was good, I guess. So I mean, if that was there to catch that, good on him.
Oh, he big brained that so hard. What
Spire coming. Impact has not maxed out on Roaches or anything. He's making more drones now. Huh.
Well, I would say that the mutas were initially not exactly what Impact needed in the last game.
Burrow movement and Burrow. Ooh. Oh, now I'm getting excited.
I like it.
I love it.
I want some more of it.
You're going to get some more of it.
Wow. This is just such a great game. I guess that's unscouted, unless maybe there's the magic scan. The start set's pretty on point for Fantasy after catching that last drop. So maybe he can keep it going. What else is there going to be? I guess it's just further continued upgrades.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that he's macroed up to 75 drones and obviously Fantasy is going to continue those upgrades. That's what you have to do as Terran here. Excited though to just kind of see, like, remember last game we saw Impact trade out Roaches?
Yeah.
I think his trade out plan this time involves Burrow and Burrow movement.
Well, it's a good way to guarantee that they're going to get there.
Right? Yeah, he should be able to figure out something with them. It's kind of funny though, more turrets are being made now because of the Spire that he scanned.
Oh.
So those will help against the Burrow movement a little bit.
Oh, that's weird. You're getting double value out of that. Yeah, I'm surprised that Overlord doesn't burn. Everything's on fire. Ugh. Well, here we go. We're starting to see Fantasy continue to sort of, like I said, stress test the little tiny avenues of attack that he has. One in the top, one in the bottom. It's going to give him an opportunity to see the unit composition here, but he won't see anything out of the Spire. And he definitely won't see those things.
No, not yet.
Dun, dun.
Well,
the Jaws Roaches on the way. I wonder if you try to drop them in with a Dropper Lord. I guess he could morph that. that's like you
drop
really
in the Burrow movement Roaches, fall out of the Overlord like they're seals out of a plane, just immediately go underwater.
Seals out of a plane. What movie didn't I watch?
Oh, like Navy SEALs.
Oh, okay. I was thinking actual seals. I was like, well, yeah, I guess you could.
It's called Seals on a Plane.
Oh, okay.
Get these damn seals off this damn plane.
All right.
Well, these Roaches are not trading out as well as they did last game, that's for sure.
Yes.
It looks like they will end up doing basically nothing.
I mean, yeah, this is...
I mean, it's okay, I guess.
Not the... Yeah, if you keep making business deals like that, you'll never be president.
All right.
Gonna target down that hatchery. That's a pretty good deal for Fantasy to make. He picks up, gets out. Corruptors. Corruptors. There we go. All right, I fixed it. Gotta come out and chase those medevacs away. Where's that boost at?
Just a second.
There we go. All right. I knew there had to be a way that they would survive for no good reason.
A lot of Fantasy things survive when you don't think that they will. Okay, so it's been kind of weird, right? Because Impact has done so many little moves and attempts at doing something, and really nothing's worked for him. He's getting a hell of a lot of Ling Bane right now, though. It's truly quite a bit.
It certainly is. He's also finishing up a couple of his last few upgrades. Finally hitting that Ultra Den, but I don't even know if that's really going to come into effect. Such a gigantic army supply. Some good connections, but this Ling counterattack on the other side, wrapping around to hit that 9 o'clock. His Banes are connecting maybe a little bit too much, or at least more than I expected.
Well, he's hitting a lot of like Marauders and tanks and stuff with them too, though. Ooh, that was a really good connect.
That was the juicy one. Some good repairs. This Planetary holding its own, but I think in the end it will probably go down. Continuing to micro on the front, and the Bio does survive enough to keep playing this back and forth game. No way. All right, repair's pretty good, Artosis.
Yeah, that's all right. Well, let's see if the Banelings can kill this Thor. Go Banelings.
Well,
I tell you what, those Corruptors really worth a lot during all this in a certain way. They've killed a lot of medevacs.
I mean, resetting the medevac count is one way to inadvertently, kind of indirectly affect the Bio, because it just doesn't get healed, it doesn't get picked up, it stays there and it dies.
Not just that, if you're, teching up as well to anything, it uses up starport build time to make more and money to make more. So that can lower the Liberator count, which is something you definitely want to use against Ultras, or even a Viking count if you're going into Brutes.
Yeah, two things that we've seen be really iconic for Fantasy is that he doesn't, or his Liberators and his Hellion run-bys. We got neither of those with this style. So that's actually kind of cool. I like that he scanned to see the burrowed Ling there, so all of a sudden it triggers that, hey, there's burrowed stuff, so it doesn't walk over Banes in the future.
It's quite true indeed. Leenock will try to set up those traps. We've definitely seen him use them in the past.
Well, he's going to get a free hatchery here. A whole lot of things in a row coming up Fantasy, Artosis.
It's okay to lose a hatch right now. I think it's obviously it's not great or anything, but he has chitinous plating and +3 melee and +2 melee and +3 carapace on the way with Ultras. And when you get all that together, that is like a really big moment. The Ultras become so much more powerful.
You got to get all that together. There's a couple of Ultras out, but they're just popping.
Oh, he doesn't have those armor upgrades done yet. He feels like he has to hit now.
Huge mind hit right there. Instant scan to kill the burrowed Banelings. That Thor worth its weight. Is he? Okay, I thought he was shooting a Thor there for a second. The Thor will outlive just about everything down there. Corruptors can't take it out.
I feel like that was an anti-timing. He already lost the hatchery and he fully engaged right before chitinous plating, right before +3. I think he could have retreated a little bit, like acted like he was attacking, retreat a little bit, have those upgrades finish, and he actually wins that fight instead of loses it.
Watch this burrow. Oh, is he going to burrow the mine? And boop goes the dynamite. Maybe he could have retargeted on those Corruptors, but either way, no, I totally agree. That Ultra timing just dead, stopped in its tracks. So, I mean, I guess things are going pretty well for Fantasy. He's got a giant supply lead, certainly.
I'd love to see a few Queens coming out with these Ultras. Definitely something that can help out, give them a bit more longevity. If you are...
Longevity?
Yeah, longevity. But it gives you,
longevity.
Some longevity, yeah.
There we go.
There's something wrong here, isn't there?
Some longitude.
Gives him a bit more longitude, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Not latitude, man. That's the wrong word, definitely.
Well, Fantasy's giving him a bit of latitude by coming back here and clean up these links.
He certainly is, Artosis. A nice mind hit right there to kind of soften things up a little bit. I wonder if that's the secret. You just go like mass mines and force the Ultras to run through them.
Maybe.
Oh, dude, there it is! The one Swarm Host!
Maybe he means to make it.
What is that like?
You can set off Widow Mines with this, so that's cool.
Is that? No. Okay, no, that's totally ridiculous.
Well, it does set them off, though.
Yes, I can't argue with that, Artosis. Here come the mass mine hits.
Oh!
Ooh, suck it, Corruptors.
Oh my god, and so many Marauders in there as well.
Nice run by behind this, but I mean, is this critical mass for Fantasy? He's gonna keep poking with the Thor. He's got a little bit of bio back home to defend. Push keeps coming.
Yeah, this is looking pretty bad for Impact right now. Those mines are like really, really scary.
Oh, he's gonna try for friendly fire. That's actually well done there, but a couple of them left over, stopping up the Ultras. The bio there, a lot of Marauders here, actually. They power through the Ultralisks.
Yeah, it doesn't quite end up doing it. It looks
I think we did it, GG. Fantasy coming back.
Yeah. So the Proxy 3 Barracks play, he ends up winning in the end after that, after killing that natural expansion. Impact played well, though. Like, you know, kind of going through everything in my head, like, is Fantasy going to stay on this bio play and keep going that way? It definitely is a possibility. Like, we actually don't know for sure what style is Fantasy's best yet, because don't forget that other style is so new. So he probably has a better idea in his head of what is going to work here. I know that it looked just amazing against Leenock, and we generally consider Leenock to be a better macro player than Impact.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just very, very curious right now.
Well, that's the thing. I have so much curiosity about fantasy, and I love when I am curious about something and I am given an amazing answer. I think fantasy has come up with quite a few of those, but Impact is his final boss to advance on to the round of 16. None of the old school players have been able to come back and advance to the next round. Fantasy might be the first one.
마운틴듀 GSL 시즌 1 리제너레이션 게임이 시작됩니다. 사이버 포레스트 게임 준비 완료.
Bottom right, in the blue.
Impact.
In the upper right, in the red, it's our Terran player.
Player 1 판타지.
Yeah, there it is. A lot of hype for the comeback. Our producer is actually just telling us that a lot of Fantasy's friends from the military. He's one of the kind of a rare breed of players who have gone to the military, completed their service, and coming back. So a lot of his old Army friends came down to support him at GSL today.
Very cool. Yeah. This drone really scouting for proxies right now. And it is a pool first. Of course, we can see that he is not proxying. Instead, it looks like pretty standard, probably a Reaper expansion. So this pool first likely will just be that exact same Ling run by. Yeah, he's scouted just about everywhere. Impact does not want to lose to that crap again.
Yeah.
I think Impact is actually pretty confident. To be honest, if you look at both of those games,
okay,
it feels to me like Impact has everything it takes to beat Fantasy heads up in the bio versus just Impact Zerg, right? Because if you look at those games, the game that Fantasy won, and it wasn't like one side, he didn't bash him, was the one where he did the 3 proxy racks. So we see Impact really scout for that and then continue onwards, right? So what I'm kind of feeling from Impact is that confidence here.
And I think what he's trying to do is say, okay, what do I have to do so the game looks like game 1 and not game 2? And that's exactly what he did. So not only does he stave off the Reaper, he runs around it, he's still going to get the cancel here. And now we get a chance to see if he's going to trade these Lings to try to kill some SCVs, and we're going to see a repeat of game 1 here. Because Fantasy actually microed that remarkably well. He's going to try to do it again, but this time, already losing a little bit too many SCVs. He's got double Marines, though, and the Reaper back.
Ooh.
Sick lift on the depots.
All right. Same amount of damage as the previous time. 2 SCVs dead.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, this does a couple other things as well, but wasn't as successful, I think, as Impact really wanted.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if you're going to scout with the drone and kind of make sure that this happens, and then that is not that good. So, yeah, is he going to catch the drone?
Yeah, he's looking for it.
Oh, got him!
That's so annoying for a Zerg.
No way he gets this down. No! Okay.
Yeah, just barely.
Dude,
not.
another heartbreaker. That's 2 times.
Yeah.
Impact. Once versus TY, and now here versus Fantasy. Gets that hatchery canceled.
It's painful.
Oh, he's going to get it. There's no way he catches the next drone, right? Oh, he stuck by.
Oh, nice.
All right. Reaper sleeping on the job.
Good job on Impact there. So Impact making a few extra Lings right now, getting his speed. Our Hellions being produced, and of course, Fantasy insta-drop that 3rd command center. So that is just about done. 3rd command center finishing around the same time the 3rd hatch starts.
Wow.
That's pretty good for Terran.
It definitely is, and it seems like he's kind of realizing, okay, what are the places that I can kind of leverage a little bit of an advantage now that I'm kind of familiarizing myself with Impact style. So he knows exactly what this is going to look like, but he doesn't predict the extra Ling flood.
This is kind of cool, but there are Hellions on the ramp, so this could go haywire as well.
It definitely could, or live wire is the case of the flavor of the Mountain Dew. He's going to just blow everything up. The Zerglings had a code red.
Oh my god. These games today have just been a Baja blast, if you ask me.
Oh, they certainly have our toast. We're both going to check our PayPals later for the payoff on those. What was the other one? There was the grape flavor too. Is it Midnight?
Oh, I don't know. I never heard of that one.
That one was actually by far the worst.
Too long.
Dude, he's back at it again. The hell, what was this called? He was the Terran terrorist.
Yeah, the terrorist Terran was his nickname because he would just kill so many workers every game.
Yeah. He's back at it again. He's like, wait, I get flamethrowers now? Sick.
Yeah,
I love it. He's going back to this mech style. I do think Impact has kind of got his number a little bit with these Lings, but he's consistently met at every turn by Hellions back to defend. And good depot lift.
The harassment from both sides has been pretty decent. Like, he killed a decent amount of SCVs with it, but there was a third command center so quick, I don't think it matters that much. Obviously, we saw Fantasy chunk off an okay amount of drones. Only 6, though. It's not as much as some of these other games.
All right, well, things really back and forth, but I do love the idea that Fantasy is going to go back to that mech style. It's actually not quite that mech style. I don't think he has any Cyclones out yet.
Not yet. I think he's getting a tank or 2 for defensive purposes.
Okay.
Because those are like kind of, if you're only going to have 1 or 2 units, those are the ones to have to really make sure you don't die to anything.
I like it.
And the kind of aggression, the constant Ling harassment we've been seeing, those will clean that up very well.
Yeah, really, man, I love that Fantasy. He's not like he's a robot just doing the same build over and over again. He knows how to adjust it on the fly. Definitely a hallmark of a very tenured player.
Yeah, and it's really important to note he is a champion. And there's such a difference between a champion and just someone that's really good and been really good for a while. If you're actually a champion like this, you have this huge range where you are going to do things like react correctly or, you know, change it up when you need to.
Also, I feel like Brood War champions are a lot rarer than champions in a lot of other games, or even in StarCraft 2, because you just had such a dominant period of time of a small number of players winning everything.
A bunch of people kept winning over and over.
Yes.
To be fair, StarCraft 2 is kind of like that as well. There's a lot of people that have 2 championships.
That's true.
Yeah, so...
There were also much more tournaments for StarCraft 2 than there were for StarCraft 1.
Well, I'm talking like GSLs, and OSLs, MSLs, those things. Like, I don't... Like,
I get the comparison.
I mean, you can say whatever you want. Tasia, yeah, he was a great player, but he doesn't have a GSL, okay? I'm not counting beating all the foreigners.
Not
like that.
yet, Artosis.
Yeah.
It's coming back. Well, here we go. Yeah, there is a Nidus. I think we're going to see a more pointed attempt at ending this game. Impact saying, look, I know where this is going. I don't like what it looked like versus Leenock. I want to hit you before it hurts.
I think it's an okay thing to try, an okay idea, because definitely you saw what happened to Leenock when Leenock played macro against it.
Well, you know, I got to say, Artos, is the new Nidus, right? We were talking about this a little bit earlier. Heavy armor, but man, once you hit it with Magfield lock-on,
oh yeah, it'll get cleaned, but these will be out of position because Fantasy keeps all his units on your side of the map.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, he's consistent with the harassment. Maybe that last Hellion run by didn't do that well, but like he's getting out there, right? He's down 50 supply to Roaches.
He might have seen the Roaches go up the ramp, so that would give it away as well. But okay, he sees it because of the depot. Moving back. He has tanks here, so that's obviously gigantic.
Yeah, he's in position, but you can always just hit another place. He's going to be running into siege tank fire. Maybe he's just got too much here. That is a lot of Roaches.
Well, I mean, if you're only going to bring 1 siege tank up, this is definitely something that can be cleaned.
I wonder if that's better for Fantasy. No, it's definitely not. No, I answered my own question right there.
I like the drones in there.
Well, you got to have something to build the Manor Hatchery, right?
Build the spores. No, this isn't ZVZ. Come on.
Well, ravaging the main. Finally, I think he's going to kill off the Nidus behind this, but he still has to deal with a massive Roach army, getting the value lock-ons here. Lots of damage from those Cyclones. The Magfield Accelerator, of course, helping. But he's going to re-Nidus here. I think, where did he actually wind up throwing that down?
God. I mean, there's a lot of stuff dying here. He actually uses it to run the Roaches out. I love it. But he is breaking through into the natural now. This is getting just too tough. I don't know, man. It seems to me like Fantasy's taking too much damage.
He's going to siege on the high ground. That's good. There's no way to view that high ground if I'm not mistaken. So that tank's going to get a lot of shots off. The Ravagers can't take it out. You're right, but I mean, he's lost 14 SCVs. Is that too many? I think so. There's not a lot of army left here. It's 32 to 84.
I'm kind of worried about the amount of buildings that are being killed. Oh, Fantasy like might end up clearing this out, and okay, we have to look at this. How does Fantasy actually come back in this situation? Because we know he's not about to give up, right?
No.
I mean, I guess he could.
So he's going to try to like pull back, stabilize in the main, and then get value off of lock-ons. But he can't afford to keep losing units. Certainly that siege tank is down. That's a huge value. He's finally going to lose the high ground siege tank thanks to that Overseer lifting up and giving him that vision.
He's starting to get pretty efficient.
Yeah?
Yeah, like look at this. The losses.
Going up.
Yeah, it's actually pretty even. The one thing that we can say is there are 3 command centers for Fantasy still. And there's actually only 3 bases for Impact. He's taking a 4th, but he doesn't actually have a 4th yet.
He's continuing to poke out and get these lock-ons. And with Macfield Accelerate, you really do kill stuff actually so fast. It's value, but I don't know if it's enough value.
I think you siege that tank too closely, maybe. And now with the Lings in here, that makes the lock-ons a lot harder.
He does lose another tank. He's trying to lock on and take out that extra Overseer tank on the high ground. Ooh, that just barely not in time. I think that is going to do it, Artosis.
I think that is it. I don't think that there's any chance.
Got 2 Cyclones, 2 Hellions, a tank, and a Dream. And no more wall in the front. So here we go. We're pulling the boys. Now or never, do or die. I think Impact's doing it, and Fantasy is about to die.
You know what? It's kind of sad to see Fantasy go because he's such a big name, and it's so exciting to have him back. GG. But we get a 3rd Zerg.
It is truly a sad day for all of our returning old school players. But I think out of all of them, surprisingly, Fantasy has done the best. 1 game away from advancing on in the next round, dangerously close. And I think even though it is sad to see him go, it is still very happy to see such a stellar performance from him today.
Yeah, no, I loved this style that he brought, and it was super cool. Good play by Impact, though. You got to hand it to him.
Oh, yeah.
He really spread him thin. He kind of like abused the overall idea that Fantasy was going for, right?
Let's head into our interview.
Yeah.
Take it away, Brian.
It's the runner-up of Group G. Impact, congratulations.
네, 작년 16강 진출을 생애 처음으로 이룬 이후
You made your first round of 16 last year, and this is your second one. How do you feel?
일단 저 봤을 때
When I looked at the groups, I thought it was an affordable one. But as I have practiced a lot of reps, I heard a lot of stories about Leenock and Fantasy playing really well. So I thought it was going to be a difficult one. But despite all the arduous games, I made it through, so I'm content about it. No, in the deciders match, you started off with the 6 links, but you didn't get much advantage out of it. So, how did you feel about the game?
솔직히 명훈이 형을 이기고 올라가서 기분이 계속 좋지는 않고
I don't feel too great about beating Fantasy out because prior to the matches, we talked together and then we promised that both of us to make it through the groups. No, I think it's very impressive that after his discharge from the military service, he can put up such an impressive performance. No, TY mentioned earlier in this interview that he lost to your Nidus builds, and you showcased it again today. No, was there a reason why you didn't reveal it versus TY? No, I used it before, so I knew TY was gonna keep that in mind. So I decided to choose a roundabouts and not go with the Nidus. However, the games were just like completely destroyed on my end, so I felt really bad about it and regrettable in regards to that. I think now you're starting to kind of shine on the offline events, and you'll be heading off to Katowice soon. How do you feel about discrepancy between offline and online matches? I consider this as my final year, so I'm trying my tails off. And when I'm going through the reps, I think I kind of like slacked off while doing so. No. Right now, even a single rep, I consider it as my final match. So I'm grinding out really hard, and I think the results are starting to demonstrate that.
마지막으로 팬들에게 한마디
Any last words to the fans?
제가 그래도 이렇게 2연속으로 16강 어영부영 가긴 했는데 되게
I think I somehow managed to make my way for the second time to the round of 16.
온라인에서 잘한다고 생각하시잖아요.
A lot of people have this impression that I'm better in online. I think I feel great by proving that I'm capable of doing so on offline as well. I'll try my best to reach as high as possible.
아닙니다. 실력으로 16강 진출을 이뤄낸 김준혁 선수에게 다시 한번 뜨거운 박수 부탁드립니다.
감사합니다.
All right. Thank you so much, Brian. Great translation as always. And here are our final results.
Such a good day of games here in GSL. I mean, seeing Fantasy come back, seeing Impact really surge there, especially at the end, and seeing TY like booster rocket his way out of this group as just an incredible player. But speaking of incredible players, Artosis.
Yeah, we have a chance for a fourth Zerg to make it through. I think Rogue definitely has a good shot. Zest is in peak form lately. And Patience has actually been surprisingly strong in the offseason.
Dude, he's got that glasses game. If Impact can advance with the glasses, maybe his fellow D-Pix member can do it as well.
All right. So that is going to be our group for... Wait, no. What day of the week are we on? We're on Saturday now. That would be Wednesday then.
Which day is it? Oh my goodness. I'm so thrown off. There's been a lot of
Saturday,
StarCraft.
which means tomorrow is ASL.
That's right.
And then Tuesday is ASL, and Wednesday is that last group in GSL.
Don't miss it.
Make sure you tune in.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you later.
This is my world.
Let's make it count.
I must practice tolerance.
GSL 시즌 1 Regeneration.